Numerous journalists surrounded the young man in a tight circle, their voices merging into a single hum as they persistently tried to find out the truth about his incredible achievement in the A-rank dungeon. The recent dungeon breach incident has given rise to many rumors that this mysterious hunter managed to defeat an S-rank fighter, all the while skillfully hiding his true level. While in the spotlight, Kim Girye maintained an outwardly calm demeanor, but inwardly he was trembling at the thought of admitting that his job as an A-rank hunter was the result of pure chance. Reporters continued to speculate about his supposed hidden abilities, but the reality was much simpler. His entire rise was built solely on luck and skillful dissimulation. The truth was that behind the hero's facade was an ordinary man who barely understood the meaning of the big words and titles that were now being bestowed upon him by enthusiastic journalists. The press persistently asked him about his plans for the future, but deep down he understood the absurdity of such questions, because his real level did not suggest any ambitious goals. Anxious thoughts of imminent exposure tormented his mind, because the truth about his belonging to the lower F rank could provoke a real storm of anger from that same legendary S-rank hunter. The prospect of revenge from high-ranking hunters made him shudder internally, because in addition to physical violence, he was threatened with magical curses that could turn his life into a real nightmare. Realizing the need for some kind of response to journalists' questions, he decided to use the tactic of silent refusal, hoping that his restraint would be perceived as an expression of modesty or mystery. The persistent press took his silence as indirect confirmation of their suspicions about manipulation of the awakening level, which only increased their desire for an exclusive comment. An inner voice told him that any attempt to justify himself or explain himself would only make the situation worse, since the journalists had already come up with their own version of events for tomorrow's big headlines. The realization that delay in clarifying the situation could cost him not only his reputation, but also his life, forced him to look for the safest way out of the current situation. Having decided to stick to his chosen line of conduct, he cast a cold glance at the assembled company and uttered a phrase that was intended to discourage them from asking further questions, calling them pathetic mammals. The unexpected reaction and strange choice of words left journalists in shock, their faces contorted with surprise and incomprehension, which provoked a new wave of questions about the meaning of his cryptic statement. As he watched the chaos unfold around him, he came to the grim realization that his future fate on this planet was sealed no matter what form he chose now. As he pondered the reasons for his current situation, he tried to pinpoint the critical moment when his usual control over the situation began to slip from his hands. A flood of memories carried his mind back to that significant day when he made the decision to leave his previous position, forever changing the course of his own destiny. The true origin of the hero turned out to be connected with the distant planet Alfari, where a magical civilization had reached incredible heights of development, leaving far behind the usual earthly ideas about what was possible. Occupying the honorable position of the highest mage in the hierarchy of his world, he unexpectedly began to hatch a daring escape plan that was supposed to change his existence forever. The harsh working conditions on his home planet included an endless work year of 640 days without a single day off, as advances in technology had eliminated the need for rest for their race. The endless series of work shifts had consumed his existence so much that he could no longer remember the last time he left his workplace at the appointed time, which led to thoughts of quitting. The high status and importance of his position created almost insurmountable obstacles to simple dismissal, since beings of his rank were under constant control of the system. Any attempt to use teleportation magic to escape would immediately activate the built-in punishment system, causing a powerful electrical discharge in his brain. The control system on his home planet was so perfect that even a successful escape from the workplace did not provide any guarantee of salvation from the omnipresent supervision of the rulers. While considering radical options for solving the problem, including the physical elimination of the rulers, he was faced with a fundamental limitation: the complete impossibility of harming representatives of his own race. The innate limitations of his race extended even to attempts at self-elimination, completely excluding the possibility of voluntary departure from life as a way of getting rid of intolerable conditions. Long reflections led him to a revolutionary idea based on the understanding that magical limitations concerned only the physical shell, leaving room for experiments with the soul. Years of hard work and countless experiments eventually led to the creation of a unique magical technique that allows for previously impossible manipulation of the soul. The soul manipulation technique he developed opened up incredible possibilities for moving consciousness to distant planets beyond the reach of the control system. The successful implementation of his plan filled him with a sense of pride and triumph, because he had managed to do the impossible: break the shackles of the hated system of control. The historic event of the first interplanetary transmigration of a soul resulted in its successful transfer to a distant planet called Earth, opening a new chapter of its existence. The first moments in the new body brought unusual sensations. Especially striking was the visual perception of my own limbs, reminiscent of strange protein formations. An unexpected advantage was the state of the chosen body. Its previous owner had recently left the physical shell, which significantly simplified the process of moving in. The flawless execution of all stages of the most complex magical operation filled him with a feeling of deep satisfaction, because now even reincarnation seemed like a simple task. Testing the capabilities of the new speech apparatus brought a pleasant discovery. His body coped well with the reproduction of the local language, providing full communication. A thorough examination of motor functions revealed excellent preservation of motor skills. But the general condition of the body gave rise to serious concerns due to obvious physical weakness. A significant deviation from the original plan was the lack of access to the memory of the body's previous owner, which significantly complicated the task of flawless camouflage among the locals. Attempts to restore the memories of the body's previous owner were unsuccessful, as if all the information had been deliberately fragmented and scattered throughout the space of consciousness. A sudden attack of excruciating pain in the abdomen revealed the tragic cause of death of the body's previous owner. His existence was cut short due to prolonged starvation. The shocking discovery forced him to reconsider the effectiveness of the established criteria for choosing a new body, because the first condition was the maximum magical power on the planet. The paradoxical situation revealed a serious flaw in his plan. A high level of magical power and intelligence did not in any way guarantee a satisfactory physical condition of the new body. His careless attitude to the details of planning had led to serious consequences. He now experienced unbearable physical suffering from excruciating hunger. The adaptation process was complicated by the temporary inability to use magical abilities, which significantly limited his capabilities in the new world. The first priority was to restore the body's vitality by finding suitable food that could relieve the incessant attacks of excruciating hunger. Overcoming severe pain, he reached the window of his new home, where he was greeted by the unusual sight of bright light breaking through the translucent fabric of the curtains. For the first time in his life, he saw a world bathed in natural light, a stark contrast to the eternal darkness of his home planet, submerged in an endless ocean. The new environment was striking in its characteristics. The brightness, warmth, dryness of the atmosphere, and the hard surface underfoot created a feeling of amazing possibilities. Despite his admiration for the new world and its unique features, the pressing need for food forced him to postpone his exploration of the environment. A long search for food in the urban environment ended in complete failure, which led him to a frightening understanding of the cause of the death of the previous owner of this body. Despair gripped his mind when he realized that there was no familiar food in the surrounding space, and the existing conditions threatened to cause the new body to perish again. The unexpected appearance of a small cockroach caught his attention, and despite the obvious unsightliness of such food, his desperate situation forced him to consider any options for satisfying his hunger. The sudden appearance of a small boy holding some unfamiliar edible object in his hands made him reconsider his plans to catch the insect. A moral dilemma gripped his mind as he began to weigh the possibility of using force to take food from a child for the sake of his own survival. The natural reaction of a frightened child to the presence of a suspicious stranger led to his hasty flight, the pursuit of which proved impossible due to physical weakness. Attention was drawn to a nearby flower shop with a variety of ornamental plants, which, despite their inedibility, seemed like a better alternative to robbery. The preparations for eating the vegetable food were interrupted by a sudden noise and shouts, which caused him to be distracted from his desperate plan. A dramatic scene unfolded before his eyes, where the frightened child found himself face to face with a monstrous creature of incredible size. The unusual creature, resembling a giant bird with 3 pupils in each eye, showed clear signs of aggression towards the little boy. The monster's lightning-fast attack ended with the child captured in its toothy beak, but the young captive managed to show incredible agility and free himself. The instinct for self-preservation made the boy drop his backpack and start running, while the huge bird continued to pursue its intended victim. A desperate search for salvation led the frightened child to the only possible protector, a mysterious stranger whom he had so recently so diligently avoided. The colossal size of the monstrous bird, exceeding the height of the nearest houses, caused the hero to be in a state of deep shock and disbelief. The shocking discovery of the possibility of meeting such a creature in broad daylight on a city street made him seriously doubt the safety of the new civilization. The sudden change in perception of the situation was due to a sudden flash of memory linking the image of the giant bird with a potential food source. The residual memory of the taste of roasted meat caused an immediate physiological response, causing him to anticipate the possibility of satisfying his hunger with unexpected prey. The assessment of the combat potential filled him with optimism, because after fully adapting to the local magic, his abilities would allow him not only to defeat the bird, but also to conquer the entire planet. A sudden sensation of penetration of an unknown magical energy permeated his entire being, as if an invisible flow began to fill every cell of his new body. The intensity of the magical flow was so mind-boggling that his physical shell could not withstand the load, causing him to collapse to the ground from overexertion. A comparative analysis of the magical potential of the two planets was mind-boggling. If native magic resembled a bucket of water, then the local power was comparable to an Olympic swimming pool. The realization of the limitless possibilities opened up by the colossal magical potential filled him with jubilation at the successful choice of a place for rebirth. The child's unexpected request for help made him genuinely surprised by such carelessness, because anyone could have been in his place, not a powerful magician. A practical approach to the situation led to a mutually beneficial deal, saving the child in exchange for the food he had seemed like a fair solution to both parties. The boy's immediate agreement with the proposed conditions was accompanied by his immediate movement behind the back of the potential savior in search of protection. In an unexpected show of concern, the hero insisted that the child stay behind him to protect him from any magical effects or physical attacks from the monster. Preparations for battle began with an attempt to use the signature technique of the head of the First Magic Division, which was capable of separating flesh from bone with a single movement of its tentacles. Multiple attempts to reproduce the familiar spell ended in complete failure, which led him to suspect that the recent movement had affected the concentration of magical energy. Successive experiments with various forms of magical art included attempts to manipulate water, summon shadow entities, and create fiery explosions. Systematic failures with all the magical techniques known to him led to the shocking realization of the complete loss of magical abilities in the new world. The dramatic turn of events led to the hero himself now fleeing in panic from the monstrous bird, carelessly running out onto a busy road. The monster's determination was astounding. Despite the many potential victims around, the bird continued to pursue it, ignoring easier prey. The long pursuit on the wide road turned into a real test of endurance, where the hero, weakened by hunger, barely found the strength to continue his escape. The tactical decision to change direction proved ineffective after the shocking discovery of the monster's ability to fly, which had previously only demonstrated running. The critical situation was aggravated by the sudden manifestation of serious injuries to the new body, the existence of which he had not even suspected until that moment. A sudden attack of excruciating pain in his joints forced him to collapse to the ground, which paradoxically saved him from a fatal attack by a bird flying overhead. The chase came to a devastating end when the bird, having reached critical speed, was unable to change its trajectory and crashed into the wall of a nearby building. Analyzing the collision that occurred, the hero discovered in the memory of the new body information about the tendency of some birds to make unsuccessful dives due to miscalculations in the flight trajectory. A practical approach to the situation led him to immediately examine the body of the defeated monster in order to identify potentially edible parts. Theoretical knowledge of the biochemical composition of local living organisms made it possible to assume the presence of digestible amino acids in the tissues of the defeated creature. The unexpected appearance of an agitated law enforcement officer interrupted his gastronomic plans for the defeated monster. The background to the police's appearance was connected with a message from a rescued boy who managed to find the law enforcement officers and show them the direction of the chase. The police officer's professional knowledge allowed her to instantly identify the creature as the infamous rookie killer of the Sand Territories. The monster's historical reclassification from F rank to C rank was due to its ability to generate deadly speed when attacking. Professional experience told her that hunters below C rank were physically incapable of reacting to the creature's lightning-fast attacks. The incredible picture of the already defeated monster and the stranger standing calmly next to him made her doubt the reality of what was happening. The reinforcements that arrived, in the form of a policeman and a rescued boy, expressed sincere gratitude to the hero, assuming that he belonged to the Hunters Guild. The hero's internal confusion increased at the mention of hunters, since the memory of the new body lacked any information about this profession. The policewoman's professional interest focused on a method of defeating the monster, given the incredibly short time between receiving the signal and the end of the incident. Tactical analysis of the situation pointed to the advantages of urban terrain for confronting the newbie killer compared to its native sandy territories. The technical side of defeating the monster required exceptional observational skills to track its rapid movements and choose the moment for a counterattack. A professional assessment of the demonstrated skills allowed the police officer to classify the stranger as a hunter of at least C rank. Taking advantage of the opportune moment, the hero reminded the boy of their prior agreement, after which the child meekly handed him the promised food as payment for his rescue. His first encounter with the local food brought back a flood of long-forgotten sensations, since over the long years of evolution, his race had completely lost the need to eat regular food. The unexpected behavior of the alleged hunter, who took food from the rescued child, caused genuine bewilderment among the police officer who was watching the incident. Professional duty forced the girl to approach the stranger and introduce herself as a member of the Sun Wu Yan Hunters Association, after which she expressed her approval of his flawless victory. The attentive gaze of an experienced association employee noted Kim Geary's unfamiliar facial features, prompting her to request documents to compile an official report. The complete lack of information about the nature of the requested license forced the hero to resort to the standard excuse of documents forgotten at home, which aroused additional suspicions. Growing doubts made the girl think about the legality of the stranger's actions and the possible lack of official permission for him to act as a hunter. The prospect of unauthorized use of awakening skills in a public place without proper registration caused righteous indignation in the government representative. The complete lack of understanding of the current situation was accompanied by a growing awareness of the seriousness of the situation, especially given the obvious aggressiveness of the policewoman. Maintaining an outward calm, the hero assured the representative of the authorities that he had registration and promised to immediately bring the documents, after which he began to slowly walk away. Despite the demonstrated composure, the hero's internal state was characterized by an extreme degree of anxiety and a firm intention to avoid such encounters. Returning home allowed him to find his personal documents and learn his own name, but the absence of the sought-after license confirmed the fact that he was not registered. The pack of cigarettes found on the floor initially confused him due to his complete lack of understanding of the purpose of the item. A close examination of the find triggered a surge of memories of the body's previous owner's bad habit of regularly using tobacco products. The fundamental principle of his magical art was based on combining the internal energy of the body with the natural flows of external force. A logical analysis of the mechanism of magical interaction inevitably led to the question of the organ responsible for the process of combining energy flows. The key element of the magical system turned out to be the respiratory system of the body, where the main function was performed directly by the user's lungs. The sudden realization of the true cause of his magical incapacity left him genuinely perplexed at the voluntary destruction of such an important organ. The culture shock was intensified by memories of the home planet, where such an attitude towards magical potential was considered absolutely unacceptable among the population. Attempts to rationalize the primitive behavior of the locals were accompanied by efforts at self-reassurance and admission of their own guilt and insufficient foresight. The determination to find a solution to the problem was reinforced by memories of a successful escape from captivity and an unwillingness to give in to new difficulties. The long-term prospect of life in the new world required a positive attitude and a willingness to create conditions for a happy existence. An unexpected twist of fate brought him to the police station just a few hours later, where he had to give an explanation regarding the crime he had committed. The bitter realization of underestimating the complexity of earthly life came to the hero after his arrest, which happened almost immediately after his arrival on the new planet. Returning home did not bring relief from the excruciating hunger, which forced the hero to make another attempt to find food on the city streets. The lack of visible food sources made him reflect on the extent of his own ignorance regarding the peculiarities of life on the new planet. The unexpected opening of a family restaurant, exuding the delicious aroma of pork soup, became a long-awaited solution to the problem of hunger. The successful placement of the order and subsequent saturation were accompanied by a slight irritation from the awareness of the proximity of the solution to the problem all this time. The first acquaintance with the local cuisine turned into a real gastronomic revelation, when even the scorching temperature could not stop the process of food absorption. The blissful state after the meal was interrupted by the appearance of the police, called because a client left without paying for the services received. The timely intervention of a police officer he knew helped resolve the situation, after which the hero offered a sincere apology and a promise to correct his behavior. A check of the information about the lack of registration in the hunting association made the police officer show additional interest in the identity of the stranger. A constructive solution to the situation was the offer to undergo free testing at a specialized center, accompanied by the presentation of an information booklet. A study of the materials obtained revealed a complete lack of understanding of the concept of awakening, which was obviously common knowledge among the inhabitants of the earth. The persistent recommendations of the authorities regarding passing the mysterious test persuaded the hero to decide to follow the advice he received. Arriving at the multi-story testing center building triggered a new flood of memories related to the owner of the physical shell's past experiences. The recovered memory fragments revealed an unpleasant truth about a previous test that resulted in him receiving a low rank in the hunter hierarchy. His thoughts were interrupted by the sudden appearance of Song Woo-yeon, who addressed him kindly by name and inquired about his current condition. The employee's business-like approach was demonstrated by her immediate request for the promised documents confirming that the center's visitor had a hunting license. The realization of the inevitability of exposure and the timely restoration of memories pushed the hero to admit his lie regarding the presence of documents. A frank conversation revealed the true reason for not returning with documents and the sad story of failing to pass the previous test. The message about belonging to a lower rank caused obvious distrust on the part of the girl, considering her recent victory over a dangerous monster. The honest admission about the random nature of the victory brought understanding to Sun Woo-yeon, who was familiar with similar cases of monsters becoming disoriented in urban environments. The girl's professional attention was drawn to the discrepancy between her stated low rank and her confident behavior during the incident with the monster. Growing suspicions strengthened her belief that her interlocutor was deliberately concealing the true level of his abilities for unknown reasons. Based on her professional experience, she associated such behavior with typical signs of involvement in illegal activities in the hunting industry. An attempt to hide suspicions behind a polite smile led to an unexpected discovery of the peculiarities of earthly facial expressions for expressing emotional states. A clumsy attempt to imitate a human smile resulted in a frightening facial expression that caused obvious discomfort in the interlocutor. The desire to quickly end the strange conversation was accompanied by a formal request to introduce himself to receive the appropriate reward. The presentation of a cash reward of 50,000 won caused the hero genuine surprise, who perceived it as a manifestation of a local welcoming ritual. The unexpected discovery of the true nature of the reward he had received dispelled his misconceptions. The money was intended for the victory over the monster, or rather for a portion of the value of its remains. A careful examination of the received bill led to a simple mathematical calculation. The cost of one serving of soup was 8,000 won, therefore the reward was equal to 6 servings. Additional information about the valuable C-rank magic stone found inside the defeated monster revealed the true value of the loot at 2 million won. The significant reduction in the amount due was explained by the significant damage to the city's infrastructure and the need to independently resolve the consequences of the incident. The employee's explanations regarding the lost profits included information about the possibility of using legal immunity to receive the full amount of compensation. The end of the conversation and Sun Woo-yeon's departure left the hero alone with bitter thoughts about the missed opportunity to receive an impressive sum of money. What was particularly disappointing was the realization that in a normal state such a creature would not have posed any threat to him. The attractiveness of the full reward amount became especially obvious when converted into the number of possible servings of the favorite soup. The key takeaway from the day was the realization of the fundamental role of money in ensuring survival on the new planet. The unexpected discovery of a direct relationship between financial well-being and quality of life forced us to reconsider our initial plans for staying on Earth. The logical conclusion of the reflections was the formation of a clear goal, obtaining the official status of a professional hunter. The gloomy prospects of the body's former owner, who suffered from extreme poverty and difficulty in obtaining the simplest food, now seemed a surmountable obstacle. Understanding the high profitability of the hunter's profession opened up new prospects for the use of magical abilities, despite the current difficulties with their application. The practical implementation of the plan began with the search for a suitable place to conduct experiments with a large concentration of potential opponents. Following the noise of the crowd led him to the discovery of a mysterious gate that was causing much discussion among the locals. The information obtained revealed a classification system for gates based on the concentration of magical energy and the corresponding strength of the monsters living within. The intention to explore the portal's interior ran into practical difficulties with the presence of a large number of witnesses, requiring a search for alternative locations. Intuitively following the magical currents led him to discover another portal, located in a wooded area and cordoned off with police tape. Ignoring obvious warning signs in the form of a police barrier did not stop the hero from continuing to move towards his intended goal. The arrival of the team of professional hunters was accompanied by a standard procedure of reporting to the manager on the state of the security perimeter and the absence of visible violations. The manager's growing concern was due to the increased incidence of mutations and associated gate classification changes over the past month. An immediate investigation into the anomaly was initiated after a brief exchange of information between members of the arriving hunting team. Initial inspection of the gate's interior revealed a characteristic odor and magical density consistent with the parameters of a D-rank dungeon. The team's professional experience suggested the possibility of a sharp increase in the location's rank by several levels, with the slightest change in conditions. An intuitive sense of inadequacy led one team member to suggest slowing down the pace of progress due to the lack of telltale signs of activity. An attempt to calm a worried colleague was accompanied by a friendly pat on the shoulder and a reminder of the benefits of youth and energy. An additional argument in favor of continuing the movement was the presence in the group of an experienced A-rank hunter, capable of dealing with local monsters. The tragic irony of the situation was the team's failure to notice the presence of an extremely dangerous creature in the immediate vicinity. A parallel development of events included the hero's fruitless search for monsters, as he advanced deeper into the cave in an attempt to understand the functioning principles of the gate. The unexpected discovery of a stream of raw mana filled with life energy attracted the hero's attention with its unique characteristics. Analysis of the characteristics of the discovered mana suggested its human origin and the presence of other visitors to the gate. The intention to establish contact with the discovered people led to the accidental observation of a dramatic scene of a giant monster attacking the group. The tragic death of a comrade from a single blow from the monster caused panic among the surviving members of the hunting team. The young warrior's attempt to restore the fighting spirit of his comrades was accompanied by a reminder of the need to maintain composure in order to use the last chance. The timely use of the protective shield allowed the young hunter to repel the sudden attack of the stone monster at a critical moment. Successfully increasing the size of the magic shield created enough repulsion force to temporarily stun the monster and launch a counterattack. Kim Geary's careful observation recorded the temporary enthusiasm of the surviving team members after the A-rank hunter's demonstration of combat skills. The premature confidence in victory was destroyed by the sudden restoration of the monster, which managed to grab and pin the overconfident shield-bearer to the ground. The start of a full-scale battle was marked by the shield-bearer being thrown back and the monster's attention turning to the remaining opponents. The next victim was a high-ranking swordsman, whose weapon proved powerless against the stone body of the monster, which ended the fight with a crushing blow. The dramatic situation with the female mage was resolved thanks to the timely intervention of the shield-bearer, who managed to cover his colleague, who was paralyzed with fear. The desperate request to use binding magic was accompanied by an understanding of the criticality of the situation and the inevitability of death without decisive action. The bitter realization of betrayal came with the understanding that the colleague he was protecting had used the shelter he had provided to escape, leaving her comrades behind. The physical defeat was aggravated by the moral blow of betrayal, which devastated the last reserves of will to resist in the defeated defender. The forced inaction allowed me to immerse myself in the memories of achieving A-rank status during the unusual dungeon breakthrough phenomenon. A retrospective analysis of a successful career, which included numerous offers from guilds and the formation of his own team, emphasized the tragedy of the current situation. The hero's timely intervention at a critical moment took the form of a simple action, a thrown stone that distracted the monster's attention from its latest victim. The feeling of disgust at the betrayal displayed was combined with gratitude for the opportunity to study the enemy and formulate an effective strategy for victory. The positive assessment of the situation was based on the recognition of the golem in the enemy and confidence in one's own strength for a successful confrontation. Professional knowledge of golems included an understanding of their nature as magically controlled stone constructs that were widely used on the hero's home planet. The functional purpose of the golems on the hero's home planet included performing a wide range of everyday tasks that required significant physical effort. The versatility of the design allowed golems to be used not only as a workforce, but also as effective combat units or security structures. The significant contribution of magical constructs to the development of civilization was confirmed by the hero's possession of a specialized scientific degree in the field of combat golem research. The logical explanation for the absence of other monsters was the efficient patrolling of the area by an awakened golem guarding private property. A professional assessment of the situation indicated the difficulty of avoiding contact with the activated guardian, which required the use of alternative methods of problem-solving. The demonstration of confident evasion of the golem's attacks was accompanied by an internal understanding of the riskiness of the chosen tactics of confronting a dangerous opponent. The success of dodging attacks was explained by the clumsiness of the large enemy, but the physical weakness of the new body significantly limited the hero's capabilities. The critical moment of the battle came during another attack by the golem, when its limb became fixed in the ground, creating an opportunity for a counterattack. Professional knowledge allowed us to identify the key element of the design, a crystal that acts as a sensor for the enemy's magical energy. The standard deactivation protocol involved sending an emergency stop command via a sensor that was only accessible to the golem's owner and creator. The outdated design of the model allowed the hero to easily determine the control scheme and successfully hack the system, which led to the temporary deactivation of the enemy. The technical design features required physical access to the core on the golem's back to completely disable the mechanism. The final stage of the operation required the extraction of a massive crystal that was the source of energy for the magical construct. The lack of specialized tools did not stop the hero from a radical solution to the problem by physically extracting the golem's core. A parallel development of events included the seriously injured Yoon Seung-ah's struggle for life, manifested in feeble attempts to regain control of his limbs. Memories of his mother's warning about the dangers of being a hunter took on particular relevance in the current circumstances. The young hunter's previous self-confidence, based on his high rank of abilities, now seemed naive against the backdrop of his mother's promises of professional success. The wounded hunter's heroic rise, motivated by the desire to keep his mother's promise, coincided with the observation of the stranger's incredible victory over the golem. The surprise at the presence of a stranger behind the police fence was accompanied by the assumption that he belonged to high-ranking hunters. Establishing visual contact with the surviving member of the group motivated Kim Giryo to initiate direct interaction with the injured hunter. The initial panicked reaction of the immobilized Yoon Seung-ah turned to relief when the stranger offered help instead of the expected aggression. Subsequent media coverage focused on Yoon Seung-ah's comments regarding his unusual behavior following the incident. The manager's confusion regarding his charge's discontent was compounded by the lack of information about the identity of the hunter's mysterious savior. A professional analysis of the situation indicated that the unknown rescuer probably belonged to the category of unregistered high-level hunters. The manager's strategic decision was to focus public attention on the unique A-rank monster and attribute the victory to Yoon Seung-ah. The rationale for the proposed strategy included a warning about the potential career risks of a high-ranking hunter demonstrating weakness. Yoon Seung-ah's categorical disagreement with the manager's proposal was based on his reluctance to take credit for defeating the golem. The young hunter's moral principles required maintaining honesty as a minimum expression of gratitude to his savior. An additional argument was the intuitive feeling of the savior's integrity, confirmed by the fact that the life of the witness to the incident was saved. The depth of gratitude felt was transformed into an awareness of a lifelong moral debt to the mysterious savior. The manager's respectful attitude towards the position of his protege was demonstrated by providing the opportunity to recover from the injuries received. The manager's professional interest focused on the phenomenon of an unknown hunter who had surpassed the capabilities of a recognized A-rank specialist. The prospect of a potential meeting with a person of outstanding ability and noble character aroused genuine enthusiasm in the experienced manager. The hero's parallel pastime was the enthusiastic study of humanity's technological achievements through a mobile device. The accidental discovery and unlocking of the smartphone led to a continuous exploration of its capabilities throughout the night. Particularly impressive was the democratic nature of access to information resources, which does not depend on the social status of the user. Effective use of the mobile device has allowed us to collect a significant amount of useful information about the structure of the new world. An important discovery was the refutation of the assumption about the private ownership of the explored gates, which determined the further development of events. The existing system of state control provided for strict regulation of access of awakened beings to the gate space through special permits. Centralized licensing was carried out through the official Hunters Association operating in Korea. The information received confirmed Yoon Seung-ah's legal status and the validity of his presence at the gate, motivating the hero to obtain an official license. The practical implementation of the intention began with the completion of specialized safety courses required to gain access to the equipment. The subjective perception of the educational process was characterized by a certain monotony, despite the fundamental importance of warnings against overconfidence. The moment of receiving the special device was accompanied by the hero's obvious confusion regarding the principles of its practical use. The unusual reaction to the standard equipment caused suspicion among those around him, who ironically compared him to an alien creature. The instructor's professional explanation revealed the essence of the basic analyzer, which operates on the basis of pixie glass technology. A practical demonstration of the device's capabilities included the analysis of specially released monsters disguised as beautiful butterflies. The first experience using the analyzer provided accurate information about the classification of the observed creature as a poisonous butterfly of the F rank. The hero was genuinely surprised by the need to use special equipment to identify potential opponents. Additional explanations from the assistant revealed the device's versatility, including the ability to search for valuable resources. The practical development of the new device began with the instructor's suggestion to try out the analyzer's functionality on surrounding objects for a better understanding of the operating principles. The moment when the instructor was distracted by work with other students was used by the hero for an experimental attempt at analyzing a person, which did not yield any effective data. Successful testing of the device on a nearby fruit provided a detailed description of its characteristics, including information about the red flesh of the fruiting plant. An initial understanding of the principles of the analyzer's functioning motivated the hero to expand experiments with various surrounding objects. An unexpected limitation of the device's capabilities became apparent when attempting to analyze the Earth's surface, which did not yield any informational results. Practical experience of using the device revealed a significant limitation of functionality associated with the impossibility of analyzing all potentially valuable resources. The key insight into the analyzer's working principle was its ability to identify only objects containing magical energy. A professional assessment of the method of determining resource value through mana concentration pointed to significant limitations in the accuracy of such an approach. The hero's specialized knowledge allowed him to identify the unique properties of ordinary soil as an effective absorbent of magical energy. The lack of basic knowledge about magical absorbance among the local population indicated the initial stage of development of magical research in this world. Further information from the assistant revealed an unexpectedly short history of the Awakened, spanning only 7 years. A global change in the world paradigm occurred with the simultaneous emergence of dungeons and awakened people all over the planet. The colossal gap between the 7-year history of local magic and the 60,000 years of experience in the development of the magical art of his civilization was astounding. The logical explanation for the technological development of mankind was to compensate for the lack of magical knowledge through the development of alternative energy sources. The primitive level of magical research was compensated by the amazing development of technologies, significantly ahead of the theoretical basis of the local civilization. The unexpected direction of evolutionary development of the local civilization evoked sincere admiration for its uniqueness and unpredictability. The strategic decision to use accumulated knowledge from a past life to achieve personal goals seemed like the most effective approach in the current situation. The romanticized image of the hunting profession that was popularized in the media was very different from the harsh reality of everyday work. The actual situation of low-ranking hunters was characterized by extremely difficult living conditions, significantly different from the public image. The complex of problems, including physical injuries, the malfunctioning of the magical system, and the constant threat of starvation, required an immediate solution. The critical situation required an urgent search for alternative ways of earning money to meet basic living needs. The strategic decision to use the absorbent was based on observations of local monsters that were vulnerable to the effects of this magical material. A significant obstacle to the implementation of the plan was the restriction of access for the F-rank holder to high-level gates inhabited by the target creatures. The difficulty of setting up a business based on absorption magic was compounded by a lack of local knowledge and physical limitations. The unexpected sound of a mobile device notification caused an immediate reaction of fear, followed by interest in the content of the received message. An emergency alert informed of a critical situation involving a dungeon breakthrough in the Mapo area, accompanied by the appearance of a dangerous B-rank monster. The limited understanding of the situation did not prevent the hero from identifying the high level of danger of the creature and making a decision to personally observe what was happening. Arriving at the scene of the incident, we observed a mass evacuation of local residents, indicating the seriousness of the threat that had arisen. Visual contact with the giant lizard that had taken up position at the top of the tower attracted the hero's attention, who joined the group of observers. An unexpected encounter with the camera's owner resulted in the hero's fall, accompanied by unfounded accusations of an exaggerated reaction to the incident. The stranger's aggressive behavior caused natural bewilderment regarding the reasons for such a provocative attitude towards a random passerby. The photographer's condescending explanation included a disparaging suggestion that the subject intended to awaken through proximity to dangerous creatures. A calm explanation of his professional affiliation with the hunting community was accompanied by an explanation of the scientific interest in the monster that had appeared. The interlocutor's disdainful reaction to the mention of a lower rank was expressed in barely restrained laughter before returning to the performance of professional duties. Further developments included observation of a military operation involving combat helicopters providing sniper cover for the incident area. The monster's scales demonstrated their exceptional strength by completely reflecting bullets and subsequently destroying the attacking aircraft. The prompt arrival of reinforcements in the form of a helicopter with a team of hunters, led by Yun Seung-ah, suggested that an airborne operation would be carried out. The lizard's lightning attack ended with the destruction of the protective dome and the capture of civilians using the monster's elongated tongue. The swordsman's professional actions in neutralizing the monster's tongue were accompanied by Yun Seong-ah's command to open magical fire to prevent the enemy from retreating. Yun Seong-ah's tactical decision to intervene personally resulted in a combination attack using a shield for maximum strike effectiveness. The successful completion of the operation to neutralize the monster was accompanied by an enthusiastic reaction from the rescued citizens, grateful for the professionalism of the hunters. The triumphant return of the winners was interrupted by the emotional reaction of a photographer trying to get the famous hunter's autograph. The hero's online research confirmed the elite status of A-rank hunters, who made up 3% of awakened people and enjoyed well-deserved public recognition. The logical explanation for the general enthusiasm was the desire to gain the attention of a recognized social hero of the modern era. An unexpected turn of events occurred when Yun Seong-ah singled out the hero from the crowd, expressing his sincere gratitude for saving his life during the incident. The sudden recognition of the rescued hunter came to the hero after a long period of oblivion of their previous meeting. The formal introduction was accompanied by the handing over of a business card and an expression of the desire to know the name of the mysterious savior. Kim Gi-rai's return introduction served as the beginning of Yun Seong-ah's proposal for an important personal conversation. The main content of the conversation revealed Yun Seong-ah's sincere desire to find a way to thank her savior, despite his supposed strength. The emotional explanation included a description of the constant anxiety caused by the sudden disappearance of the rescuer after a critical incident. The decision to escape from the police seemed right, but the hero understood that it would be unwise to refuse the help of an A-rank hunter in such a situation, so he decided to take advantage of the opportunity. Taking out his phone and opening a map with a marked point on the screen, the hero invited his new acquaintance to go with him to the gate, hoping for a positive answer. At the appointed time, they met and headed towards the gate, and the hero noticed an unusual thoughtfulness on the face of Yun Seong-ah, who constantly cast studying glances at him. The recently received information about Kim Gi-rai haunted Yun Seong-ah, who could not accept the fact that such an outstanding hunter could have such a low rank. When Kim Gi-rai calmly explained his desire to hunt monsters, Yun Seong-ah became excited about the opportunity to teach him some special moves, believing that the hero's rank was much higher. Noticing the misunderstanding that had arisen in their conversation, Kim Gi-rai decided to immediately clarify the situation in order to avoid further misunderstandings and false expectations. To prove his words, Kim Gi-rai showed his F-rank hunter ID, explaining his true status to Yun Seong-ah and trying to dispel all his doubts. Kim Gi-rai explained that the only way to get into the dungeon he wanted was to register as a porter for Yun Seong-ah, since he didn't have the ability to do so on his own. As he continued to ponder over the situation, Yun Seong-ah suspected that there was a mistake at the testing center, as he could not believe that such a capable hunter had such a low rank. Memories of conversations with acquaintances surfaced in Yun Seong-ah's mind. He heard about the forced dispatch of strong hunters to suppress breakthroughs in the dungeons. There were persistent rumors circulating around the city about people who deliberately hid their true hunter rank in an attempt to avoid pressure from the influential association. Based on his own observations and thoughts, Yun Seong-ah came to the conclusion that the guy he met simply decided to hide his true rank from prying eyes. Approaching the dungeon, the hero immediately recognized it from numerous photographs and descriptions from the internet, noting the complete correspondence of what he saw with the available information. While carefully examining the monsters that lived here, Yun Seong-ah told an interesting story about a mistake in the translation of the name of the fire mice that happened some time ago. The origin of the name of these creatures began in Ohio, where bats engulfed in flames were first discovered, but due to translation errors, they began to be called flamethrowers. Sensing the approach of strangers, the fire mice began to move and soared into the air, forming a veritable fiery whirlwind around Yun Seong-ah and Kim Gi-rai. While the hero was calmly taking the earth out of his bag, Yun Seong-ah's curiosity was aroused even more. He wanted to know what was actually stored in this mysterious bag. Instead of explaining, the hero simply sprinkled the approaching fire mice with earth from his bag, causing them, despite their flames, to quickly burn. Watching the falling fire mice, the hero briefly explained that his bag contained a special product that effectively dealt with such creatures. After successfully neutralizing the monsters, Yun Seong-ah wondered why there was any need to use any items when C-rank monsters could be easily caught with bare hands. Hearing this question, the hero mentally shook his head. It seemed that the guy did not even bother to read the information in his hunter's license carefully. Perhaps accustomed to life among the elite hunters, Yun Seong-ah simply could not imagine all the difficulties and problems that the lower-ranked hunters face. Not wanting to show his weaknesses, the hero decided to ask Yoon Seong-ah a philosophical question about the nature of awakening and its impact on human abilities. Thinking out loud, the hero noted the amazing abilities of the awakened to lift trucks, control water, and change the surrounding world at will. Continuing his thought, the hero emphasized that all these incredible skills were given to people without any effort on their part, as if they had fallen from the sky as a random gift. The hero suggested that without understanding the true reason for the appearance of such abilities, they could suddenly disappear, calling them undeserved gifts. Concluding his thought, the hero explained why he prefers to rely on his own knowledge and skills, rather than on the abilities he received from the awakened. After his emotional speech, the hero doubted that anyone would believe such reasoning, but his words made an unexpectedly strong impression on Yoon Seong-ah. Moved to tears, Yoon Seong-ah acknowledged the hero's rightness, realizing that his own powers were also obtained without effort and could disappear at any moment. Thinking about the unpredictable mutations of the dungeons, Yoon Seong-ah decided to prepare to explore the gates where the use of awakening skills may not be possible. Excitedly grabbing Kim Gi-ryo's hand, Yoon Seong-ah confessed that he used to look for easy ways to train, but now admired his new acquaintance's foresight and wisdom. A sudden thought came to Yoon Seong-ah. He remembered that people with a high level of awakening were able to sense the strength of those around them, feeling goosebumps near S-rank hunters. When he was next to Kim Gi-ryo, Yoon Seong-ah didn't feel any special aura or power, as if he was an ordinary person with no abilities. Hearing the comparison with a fly, the hero felt strong irritation. How could someone speak so disrespectfully about the best magician of Alfari? Yoon Seong-ah quickly came to his senses and explained that he admired Kim Gi-ryo's ability to control and hide his mana, believing him to be incredibly talented. The hero outwardly calmed down, but the words hurt him, because he understood that the rank of the awakened directly depended on the amount of mana, which he practically did not have. In order not to appear weak, the hero confirmed Yoon Seong-ah's guess, pretending that he had indeed revealed his carefully guarded secret of controlling his strength. During lunch at a nearby fast food joint, Yoon Seong-ah asked to go on future raids, which surprised the hero, since a high-ranking hunter has no business in a simple dungeon. Looking away sheepishly, the hunter admitted that he wanted to learn from the hero, especially after the recent disintegration of his team and given his limited experience with awakening. Citing his lack of experience in hunting on his own and the difficulty of forming a new team, Yoon Seong-ah expressed his sincere desire to join the hero. Understanding Yoon Seong-ah's trauma from the betrayal of his comrades and the nightmares he experienced, the hero saw the benefits of this cooperation for both sides. Agreeing to the offer, the hero honestly warned that he would not be able to protect Yoon Seong-ah due to his low rank, and reminded him of his responsibility for his own safety. The hero also noted that in the case of the Golem, the main problem was haste and underestimation of the enemy, and not any particular fault or incompetence on the part of Yoon Seong-ah. The hero's words seemed to have completely missed the ears of Yoon Seong-ah, who took them as a sign of confidence that nothing bad would happen to him. After paying the bill, Yoon Seong-ah shared his age, 22, and his recent retake of the qualification exam, inquiring about the hero's age. Unable to remember his age, the hero simply showed documents from which Yoon Seong-ah learned that Kim Gi-ryo was 24 years old, a difference of only 2 years. Noticing the hero's thoughtfulness, Yoon Seong-ah became nervous and hastened to explain his surprise by his maturity and calmness, which did not correspond to such a young age. The real reason for the hero's thoughtfulness was watching the students passing by, which made him realize the complete lack of memories of his own studies. The empty list of contacts on his phone raised many questions in the hero's mind about who the man named Kim Gi-ryo really was and what kind of life he led. A television report about the increasing incidence of dungeon mutations attracted the attention of an unknown viewer who had been closely following the news. Hunters Association experts, including top-ranking appraisers, have found themselves helpless in the face of the mystery of the increasing number of strange cases in the country. The guy sitting in front of the TV finally showed interest in what was happening and raised his head to take a closer look at the news screen. The next day, Yoon Seong-ah called, inviting the hero to meet and show him something special and exciting. Yoon Seong-ah's offer was incredibly attractive. He had priority access to the new gate, which the hero simply could not refuse. The new gates in Korea were initially only accessible to research groups, and only after verification by the association were they open to other hunters. The rumors that spread about an unknown plant found inside awakened in the hero the hope of finding a way to restore his lost magic. The strange energy at the entrance to the dungeon attracted the hero's attention, but the huge crowd of people prevented him from getting closer to check his feelings. Most of the crowd, according to Yoon Seong-ah, were ordinary onlookers and journalists, although even he did not expect to see such a huge crowd. The sudden appearance of an expensive sports car, spectacularly stopping on the sidewalk after drifting at high speed, attracted everyone's attention. Behind the wheel was a young man with purple hair, unfamiliar to the hero, who introduced himself as Kang Chang-ho. Yoon Seung-ah's surprise at seeing the newcomer was explained by the fact that Kang Chang-ho was one of only 3 S-rank hunters in the entire country. Kang Chang-ho's powerful mana, which even Kim Giri could feel, made him stand out from the rest of the people like a diamond of the purest water. Kang Chang-ho's attention suddenly focused on Kim Gi-rai, and the hero noticed an unusual expression in the high-ranking hunter's eyes. At this moment, Yoon Seung-ah quickly explained that Kang Chang-ho possessed a rare artifact known as the Dragon's Eyes. Approaching Kim Gi-rai, Kang Chang-ho unceremoniously interrupted the conversation and demanded that the stranger introduce himself and state his rank. A frightened Yoon Seung-ah tried to defuse the situation by explaining that Kim Gi-ryo was his porter, hoping to distract Kang Chang-ho's attention. Kang Chang-ho's displeased look made Yoon Seung-ah retreat, after which Kim Giri calmly announced his F rank. A sly smile appeared on Kang Chang-ho's face, causing the hero to become wary. It seemed that the hunter had somehow sensed the true amount of mana. The hero's damaged lungs, despite their condition, still functioned as an excretory organ, without affecting the amount of mana in the body. Calmly meeting Kang Chang-ho's gaze, the hero offered to show his license, but he only asked about the courage of the F-rank holder, Yoon Seung-ah, feeling the growing tension, quickly led the hero away under the pretext of possibly losing his armor in the queue. Once safe, the hero awkwardly explained his ignorance of Kang Chang-ho's identity by citing his recent arrival from another country. Yoon Seung-ah decided to talk about Kang Chang-ho's bad reputation, which did not match his high rank as a hunter. The story of the attack made Kang Chang-ho an unwelcome companion for exploring the gate, and the current rumors only made things worse. Of particular concern was the case of Yoon Seung-ah's cousin, who was ranked 3rd among A-rank hunters. The cousin was attacked by Kang Chang-ho at the gate, confirming the rumors of his love for challenging powerful, awakened ones to battle. The hero gratefully acknowledged the care of Yoon Seung-ah, who intentionally led him away from the dangerous S-rank hunter. Having made the wise decision to postpone his visit to the gate, the hero agreed to return the next day to examine the mysterious plant. While thinking about the Dragon's Eyes, the hero became interested in the possibility of exchanging this special item belonging to Kang Chang-ho. Yoon Seung-ah revealed that the Dragon Eyes originally existed in the form of small balls that Kang Chang-ho absorbed for use. Having learned about the existence of dragon's lungs, the hero found out that they were temporarily absent from the market due to their low popularity among buyers. The unpopularity of dragon lungs was due to their inability to increase mana, unlike other dragon organs. Yoon Seung-ah's phone search showed the dragon lungs were worth 2.5 billion won, which was about $2 million. Yoon Seung-ah explained to the hero, who was surprised by the price, that this price was considered low compared to other parts of the dragon's body. The realization that such a sum was unattainable with his current skills forced the hero to stop asking about the prices of dragon organs. Having called a taxi home, the hero simultaneously looked for additional information about the personality and activities of Kang Chang-ho. The collected information painted a frightening portrait of the hunter, forcing the hero to think about the danger of a possible conflict with such a person. Fate decreed otherwise. Kang Chang-ho's car crashed at high speed into the taxi in which the hero was riding. The indignant taxi driver, having made sure that the passenger was safe, went out to voice his complaints to the person responsible for the accident. Kang Chang-ho calmly apologized for the incident, blaming the accident on a long break from driving and confusion between the pedals. The person responsible for the accident casually approached the hero and offered to exchange contacts to resolve the problem that had arisen. The hero watched the situation with disbelief, while the embarrassed taxi driver apologized for his rudeness and offered to resolve the issue by paying for the repairs. Kang Chang-ho's generosity was demonstrated by the thick wad of bills he handed to the taxi driver, who hurriedly left the scene. After handing over his phone to the hero, Kang Chang-ho explained the need to exchange contacts for subsequent payment of possible medical expenses. An alien from another planet was surprised by the strange earthly ways of solving road accidents, but decided to share his number. After writing down the number, Kang Chang-ho continued to study the phone screen with unusual attention and concentration. The story of Kang Chang-ho began as the story of the only heir to a large company, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Despite his wealth and the ability to hire good lawyers, young Kang Chang-ho received a real prison sentence for assault. The internet was full of reports of Kang Chang-ho's attacks, but the biggest resonance was caused by the death of his parents during a dungeon breakthrough. Following the tragedy, Kang Chang-ho sold off all of the family company's assets, sparking rumors that his parents might have been murdered for the inheritance. After exchanging contacts, Kang Chang-ho asked with a barely noticeable smile about Kim Gi-rai's strange choice to work as a simple porter, especially emphasizing his inexplicable desire to keep an eye on Yun Seong-ah. The mysterious S-rank hunter offered an alternative job with an incredibly high salary, carefully watching the interlocutor's reaction and waiting for an expression of interest in his offer. Despite his outward calm and composure, a bright flame of interest in the proposal flared up inside the hero, because the financial issue was really quite acute for him. Kang Chang-ho's unexpected proposal was to replace his current position as a porter with that of a personal assistant, receiving 80% of all loot and items from the gate. The conditions he heard seemed so unrealistic and absurd to the hero that he seriously thought about the possibility of some kind of trick or sophisticated joke on the part of the influential hunter. The keen eye of an experienced S-rank hunter unmistakably identified the incredible mana reserves in Kim Gi-rai's body, possibly even exceeding the level of the strongest awakened. The restoration of the hero's magical abilities could lead to a complete change in the balance of power on this planet, allowing him to establish control over the entire existing system of hunters. In response to the offer, the hero diplomatically explained his inability to work in an S-rank gate, hoping that this would be sufficient reason for him to refuse cooperation. Kang Chang-ho calmly explained that he was well aware of Kim Gi-rai's current level and had no plans to take him into high-ranking dungeons, which completely confused the hero about the true motives of the proposal. Kang Chang-ho's misunderstanding of the situation was explained by the simple fact that in this world, no one believed in the possibility of increasing the awakening rank after the initial determination of the power level. Kang Chang-ho's actual proposal was simply sponsorship and patronage, which made the hero feel awkward due to his misunderstanding of the situation. The remaining questions haunted the hero. He was especially interested in the true reason for such a generous offer from an influential S-rank hunter. Instead of a direct answer, Kang Chang-ho only smiled mysteriously, making the hero regret the absence of Yun Seong-ah, who could help sort out this strange situation. Later, when meeting Yun Seong-ah, the hero spoke in detail about his encounter with Kang Chang-ho, shared his suspicions about the accident being intentional, and explained how he hastily left the scene. After listening carefully to the story, Yun Seong-ah came to the conclusion that the presence of the talented Kim Gi-rai helped avoid serious problems with the S-rank hunter, who was known for hunting down promising newcomers. Feeling insignificant in comparison to the mysterious Kim Gi-rai, Yun Seong-ah found solace in the confidence that his new acquaintance would be able to protect him from any intentions of Kang Chang-ho. Reflecting on the situation, the hero realized the absurdity of possibly going to the police with a complaint against an S-rank hunter offering protection and a generous reward for cooperation. After much thought, the hero decided not to attach undue importance to what had happened, since Kang Chang-ho's actions, although strange, did not yet pose an obvious threat. Breaking the prolonged silence, Yun Seong-ah asked if the hero knew about the recent news that Korea ranked second in the world in gate management efficiency. Despite the ongoing problem of mutations, the authorities managed to significantly reduce the number of victims among the population, which gave hope for a quick overcoming of this global catastrophe. The mention of the gates aroused keen interest in the hero, who until now considered these mysterious formations an unknown and incomprehensible concept that required careful study. 7 years ago, the planet was faced with an inexplicable phenomenon: the sudden appearance of gates, monsters, and awakened people whose magic was based on the use of mana from the planet's core. A significant difference between Earth and Alfari was the thick layer of hard rock that prevented the natural release of mana to the surface, but the gates that appeared created unique channels for its seepage. The impact of the gates led to the awakening of some people, but the very principle of operation of these mysterious spatial formations remained incomprehensible even to an experienced magician from another planet. The mysterious spaces filled with hostile creatures were clearly not the creation of either Earthlings or the inhabitants of Alfari, which suggested the existence of some unknown force. The hero's deep thoughtfulness did not escape the attentive gaze of Yun Seong-ah, who persistently tried to bring his interlocutor back to reality from the world of his thoughts. Having woken up from his thoughts, the hero shared his thoughts that the creator of the gate is unlikely to be happy with the current state of affairs and the use of his creation for other purposes. Analyzing the situation, the hero came to the conclusion that the monsters in the gates are programmed to destroy people, and the magical objects serve only as bait, like cheese in a mousetrap. Continuing the analogy with the mousetrap, the hero suggested that the owner of this ingenious mechanism might become seriously angry when he discovers that his prey has learned to run away with the bait. Suddenly, While Yun Seong-ah was pondering the logical constructions of his interlocutor, the hero felt a powerful flow of mana under his feet, comparable in strength to underground lava. Instantly recognizing the danger of the outgoing energy, the hero rushed towards Yun Seong-ah, trying to push him away from the rapidly forming epicenter of the unknown phenomenon. Having successfully saved his comrade from danger, the hero himself found himself drawn into the resulting energy vortex, which spun him around and lifted him high into the sky, like a toy in the hands of the elements. Waking up after a strange movement, the hero found himself in a perfectly white marble room without windows or doors, reminiscent of the interior of a mysterious gate. The realization of the possibility of meeting monsters in this confined space caused serious concern in the hero, who understood that in his current state, such a meeting could be fatal. The need for an urgent escape was becoming increasingly obvious, but the inability to use even the simplest camouflage magic significantly complicated the hero's situation. Moving through the strange room, the hero discovered around the corner of the corridor an unusual statue of a lion surrounded by several stone paintings that attracted his attention with their mystery. Before he could read the inscription on the stone tablet in front of the lion statue, the hero noticed hunters approaching from both sides, a familiar Kang Chang-ho and a man unknown to him. The meeting of the hunters was accompanied by a friendly greeting from Kang Chang-ho, who was surprised by Young Ha-sung's quick return from Singapore, which allowed the hero to assume that they were close acquaintances. Kim Giryo's puzzled look, clearly not recognizing Young Ha-sun, did not surprise the hero himself, who had only been on Earth for a few days and had not had time to study the local celebrities. Kang Chang-ho commented on his friend's lack of media exposure with a gentle grin, while the hero mentally noted that he himself had not even known Kang Chang-ho himself until recently. When introducing Young Ha-sung, Kang Chang-ho explained that he was an S-rank hunter and the #1 in Korea, known as a national hero, although Kim Gi-ryo might have missed this information. Despite Kang Chang-ho's attempt to arrange a proper introduction, Young Ha-sung chose to postpone the formalities for later, given the unusual circumstances of their sudden transfer to a strange space. Having taken out an unknown device, which Young Ha-sung called an analyzer, the hero was surprised to note its unusual appearance, different from the devices he was familiar with. The compactness and ergonomics of the new analyzer significantly exceeded the characteristics of similar devices that the hero had encountered in the past. Using even such an advanced analyzer yielded a minimum of information. It was only possible to determine the fact of being in an extra-rank gate. All other data was unavailable. The hero's attempt to find recently read information about extra ranks in his phone was unsuccessful, as was checking the functionality of the phones of other participants in the unusual incident. It turned out that the lack of a protective case in the gate conditions leads to the rapid failure of phones, threatening complete breakdown of devices during a long stay in the dungeon. Noticing the sign ahead, the hunters read the mysterious inscription, "The symbol of true faith will become the key," which was a hint for passing the gate. After looking around, the group found the only door for possible progress, but all attempts to open it in the usual way were unsuccessful. The combined magical efforts of Young Ha-sung and Kang Chang-ho to open the mysterious door yielded no results despite their high rank and considerable strength. Watching the actions of the two S-rank hunters, Kim Giri could clearly sense the mana flowing from their bodies, which clearly demonstrated the special status of the highest ranks among all awakened ones. The incredible talent and monstrous abilities of these exceptional people were impressive in their power, but even the combined efforts of the two strongest hunters were not enough to open the mysterious passage. Realizing the futility of using brute force, the hero turned his attention to the lion statue, intuitively feeling that it might hold the key to their liberation from this strange place. While carefully studying the lion statue, Kang Chang-ho noticed a peculiarity of its design. The animal's open mouth seemed to have been specially created for placing a hand in it. Kim Gi-rai and Young Ha-sun's worried looks expressed their shared concern. Trapped without supplies due to the sudden relocation, they understood the need to open the door as soon as possible. In an unexpected display of courage, Young Ha-sung was the first to take the risky step and insert his hand into the mouth of the statue, which led to an immediate result. The massive doors opened, accompanied by a loud metallic screech. Before continuing through the opening, everyone present noticed with alarm the unusual agitation on Young Ha-sun's face as he stared at his hand. Turning his hand, the hunter showed everyone the reason for his concern. The skin clearly showed traces of punctures left by the mysterious mechanism of the statue. Later, Young Ha-sung shared the terrifying details of his experience. Not only did the statue cause severe pain, but it also gripped his arm tightly, sucking out his blood, which in a moment of panic even made him consider cutting off the limb. In contrast to his colleague's excited story, Kang Chang-ho remained completely calm and indifferent, only suggesting that the group not waste time and move on through the open passage. Despite growing anxiety and foreboding regarding this door, the hero realized that their group had no choice but to continue moving forward. Having overcome a long corridor, the group again found themselves in front of an identical structure, the same doors with a similar statue of a lion blocking the way further. Showing determination, Jung Ha-sung took the initiative again by offering the statue blood from his other hand, allowing the group to continue on their way. However, they soon encountered another statue demanding a new sacrifice. Analyzing the recurring situation, the hero came to an obvious conclusion. The only condition for moving forward was a voluntary offering of blood by placing his hand in the mouth of the statue. Jung Ha-sung, concerned about the increasing amount of blood being consumed with each new sacrifice, suggested that Kang Chang-ho take on the next statue, believing it wise to take turns to conserve strength. Showing a clear reluctance to risk his own safety, Kang Chang-ho attempted to avoid participating in the sacrifice by selfishly suggesting that Jung Ha-sung continue to open doors on his own. Outraged by this display of selfishness, Jung Ha-sung responded harshly to the refusal to cooperate, making it clear the serious consequences of such behavior. In response to Kang Chang-ho's mocking reminder of their equal ranks, Jung Ha-sung responded with a calm but firm order for cooperation, showing complete indifference to formal ranks. The tense situation between the two S-rank hunters made the hero nervous, realizing the need to prevent the brewing conflict in such a dangerous place. Continuing to defend his position, Kang Chang-ho expressed concerns about the possibility of one of the statues being completely drained of blood, suggesting waiting for security guarantees and reminding about the presence of a third hunter. Thinking about the extreme rank gate's survival rate of only 60% made the hero feel seriously uneasy about their current situation. The peculiarity of this labyrinth was the absence of traditional monsters, replaced by a system of advancement through bloody sacrifices, and the design of the statue allowed the use of only one hand. Analyzing the situation, the hero came to a disappointing conclusion. The mechanics of passing these gates clearly required the sacrifice of one of the team members, which meant serious problems for the entire group. Jung Ha-sung sharply criticized Kang Chang-ho's suggestion to shift the responsibility to an F-rank hunter, finding it absurd to use the weakest member of the team when there are two S-rank fighters. The sudden appearance of a monster wolf, calmly approaching the trapped trio, instantly interrupted the escalating conflict between the hunters. Surprised by the presence of monsters in this unusual gate, the hero was not prepared for the sudden attack of the creature, directed directly at him. Despite significant blood loss, Jung Ha-sung reacted to the danger with lightning speed, protecting his helpless companion with a powerful fire attack from his blade, which completely incinerated the wolf and demonstrated a previously unknown form of primordial magic to the hero. Kang Chang-ho's calmness was in contrast to his obvious displeasure at the fact that even after suffering severe blood loss, Jung Ha-sung retained his incredible agility and fighting skills. Lost in thought, Kang Chang-ho did not notice the second wolf approaching, but a timely warning from the hero allowed him to avoid a surprise attack. Showing complete confidence in his actions, Kang Chang-ho waited until the last moment before the clash and destroyed the monster with one powerful blow, showing incredible physical strength. Witnessing this impressive display of power, the hero concluded that Kang Chang-ho's awakening was directly related to the enhancement of his physical abilities. Having carefully assessed the strength of the defeated enemy, Kang Chang-ho calmly noted that the monster, despite its terrifying appearance, was approximately C rank and did not pose a serious threat to hunters of their level. Jung Ha-sung quickly cooled his comrade's premature optimism by pointing out the appearance of new packs of wolves emerging from the walls and preparing for a massive attack on the group. Realizing that even relatively weak opponents could pose a serious threat in large numbers, Jung Ha-seong organized a defense, assigning Kang Chang-ho to protect the group's rear from the approaching wolves. The battle that had begun turned into a thrilling display of combat prowess and incredible skills of two top-ranked hunters who had fully revealed their abilities. Forced to watch the battle from the sidelines due to the impossibility of providing any assistance, the hero received a unique opportunity to assess the true level of strength and skill of high-ranking fighters. Despite the impressive scale and epic nature of the battle, the loss of a significant amount of blood began to take its toll on Jung Ha-sung, who noted with growing concern the unexpectedly large number of wolves appearing. Feeling increasingly weak from the loss of blood and realizing the limitations of his strength, Jung Ha-seong focused his attention on the lion statue, trying to decipher the true nature of what was happening within this unusual gate. Lost in his own thoughts, The hero realized that even with his magical powers restored, the task of capturing the Earth and establishing control over it would be much more difficult than he had initially assumed. Suddenly, Young Ha-sung drew the group's attention to the statue's ominously glowing red eyes, suggesting that there was a time limitation in this mysterious place. Analyzing the situation, the hunter came to the conclusion that the appearance of monsters was directly related to the delay in the blood offering, and the wolf attacks would continue until the required ritual was performed. Realizing the loss of precious time, Kang Chang-ho noted with alarm the growing rage and aggression of the wolves, growing stronger with each passing second. The rapidly increasing number of wolves made them a real threat to the entire group, leaving Kang Chang-ho no choice but to take part in the sacrifice. Resolutely running up to the statue and inserting his hand into its mouth, the hunter made the necessary blood offering, after which all the attacking wolves instantly disappeared, as if dissolving into thin air. Kang Chang-ho's unexpected selflessness astounded the hero, and Young Ha-sung took advantage of the moment to establish a new order of sacrifices, excluding the weak Kim Gi-rai from it. Young Ha-sung's act of instantly eliminating the F-rank hunter from the list of potential victims and constantly protecting him from monsters allowed the hero to understand the true reason for awarding him the title of national hero. The realization of his own helplessness and the impossibility of helping his exhausted comrades caused the hero to feel an acute sense of guilt for their suffering. Barely able to stand on his feet after multiple sacrifices, Kang Chang-ho found the strength to continue on his way only in the hope of a quick completion of the test, given the usually small size of high-ranking gates. Kang Chang-ho's next round of sacrifice gave a faint hope for a short rest for Young Ha-sung to restore some of his spent strength. The sudden stop and the suggestion to take a break to check for possibly missed clues on previous doors was prompted by growing concerns about the lack of guarantees of a quick exit and the group's exhaustion. Suspecting the insincerity of Kang Chang-ho's proposal, Young Ha-sung reminded him of the standard scenario for passing such gates, which required simply fulfilling the set conditions without any unnecessary checks. Young Ha-sung's growing suspicions were based on the assumption that Kang Chang-ho was planning to repeat the situation with Choi-jin, using the battle with the monsters as cover for an attack. Noticing the national hero's obvious concern, Kang Chang-ho agreed to continue opening the doors, emphasizing that he had never refused the proposed strategy of action. In an attempt to dispel suspicions, Kang Chang-ho hinted at the incompleteness of the information about the incident with the girl, emphasizing that he is not a madman who blindly attacks his comrades. While acknowledging his criminal past and understanding the difficulties with trust, Kang Chang-ho still felt that Young Ha-sung's suspicions were excessive and unfounded in the current situation. Explaining his position, Kang Chang-ho emphasized his own desire to leave the gate quickly, while criticizing Young Ha-sung's excessive haste in his actions. After opening another door, Kang Chang-ho continued to insist on considering his proposal, assuring that he would have made the same initiative even if it had been Young Ha-sung's turn. Carefully analyzing Kang Chang-ho's words, the hero recognized that they were more adequate than it seemed at first, but he did not cast aside his caution, remembering that widespread rumors rarely arise out of thin air. Releasing his hand from the statue's grip, Kang Chang-ho met Young Ha-sung's worried gaze as he tried to assess his companion's condition. To reassure his comrade, Kang Chang-ho demonstrated the recovery potion he had stored up, assuring him of his ability to open a few more doors without serious damage to his health. Young Ha-sung's suggestion to move on came with the condition of finding alternative options if there was no exit beyond the next door. Taking advantage of the weakened state of the group's leader, Young Ha-sung, Kang Chang-ho dealt a treacherous blow to the head, instantly knocking the national hero unconscious. Looking at the fallen body with indifference, Kang Chang-ho expressed surprise at the effectiveness of a simple move against an S-rank hunter, while the hero realized the enormity of his mistake in assessing the identity of the attacker. When the hero asked about the reasons for such a treacherous act, Kang Chang-ho told about a gate that had recently appeared in Europe called the Iron Maiden. The peculiarity of this gate, according to Kang Chang-ho, was that a mandatory condition for saving the group was the sacrifice of one of the hunters. The realization of Kang Chang-ho's true intentions to sacrifice Young Ha-sung's life left Kim Gi-ryo in a state of deep shock and disbelief. In justifying his actions, Kang Chang-ho cited statistics on survival in such gates, where about 40% of hunters died, and explained his decision as a desire to ensure the survival of the two of them. While recognizing a certain logic in Kang Chang-ho's reasoning, the hero understood the inevitability of choosing a victim, and would prefer to see one of the S-rank hunters in this role rather than himself. Realizing that he had no choice in the situation, the hero could only follow the S-rank hunter in hopes of being saved, while wondering why Young Ha-sung was chosen as the victim and not himself. The hero's offer to sacrifice himself in place of Young Ha-sung only drew a mocking reaction from Kang Chang-ho, who advised him to silently follow them while the others did all the dangerous work. The obvious impossibility of a peaceful dialogue with Kang Chang-ho, who was accustomed to complete control over the situation, forced the hero to look for alternative ways to save Young Ha-sung. Calmly assessing the situation, Kang Chang-ho predicted that the test would soon end based on the significant amount of blood that had already been given to the statues. The sudden appearance of the exit from the labyrinth just behind the next door shocked Kang Chang-ho, who did not expect to successfully complete the journey without making the final sacrifice. An additional surprise was the discovery of an Iron Maiden holding a reward for completing the challenge. What was happening seemed so unreal to Kang Chang-ho that he began to doubt his perception, while simultaneously realizing that serious problems were inevitable after Young Ha-sung woke up. Having picked up a magical item, the hero suggested using it as a peace offering when apologizing to the victim Young Ha-sung. The experienced hunter calmly explained the naivety of the assumption that an attack on a national hero could be atoned for with a simple apology and a gift. Understanding the inevitable reaction of the hunter's association to such an incident, Kang Chang-ho thought that the easiest solution would be to turn Young Ha-seong into a ritual sacrifice. While developing his dark plans, Kang Chang-ho thought about the possibility of finally eliminating Young Ha-seong inside the gate, where his body would disappear without a trace along with the dungeon. The main problem in implementing this plan remained the presence of a witness who would hardly have any reason to remain silent about the murder that had taken place. Kang Chang-ho's proposal involved a simple exchange, the hero's life in exchange for his admission of guilt in the attack on Young Ha-sung. The story moves into the past, revealing the story of Kang Chang-ho, who has the unique gift of sight. The source of his unusual abilities was a rare A-rank item, the Dragon's Eyes, obtained from a green dragon. The artifact granted its owner many unique abilities: super clear vision at great distances, increased mana, and the ability to determine the level of awakening with one glance. Thanks to these abilities, Kang Chang-ho could discern the smallest details, which explained his close attention to Kim Gi-rai without the usual squint. The first meeting with Kim Gi-rai left Kang Chang-ho amazed by an unusual form of magical power that, despite the small amount of mana, could be the rare skill that hunters around the world are interested in. The initiative to talk to Kim Gi-rai was caused by distrust of his declared F rank, since ordinary carriers of such a low rank were physically unable to withstand Kang Chang-ho's direct gaze. The impact of Kang Chang-ho's presence on ordinary people and weak awakened ones was like meeting a huge predator. Kang Chang-ho's daily life was made difficult by the constant reactions of those around him, who instinctively avoided his presence and trembled with fear at the mere sight of him. Doubting the veracity of the information about Kim Gi-rai's F rank, Kang Chang-ho decided to test his reaction with an unexpected business proposal worth hundreds of millions of won. What was surprising was the complete lack of emotional reaction on Kim Gi-ryo's face even after such a generous offer. The only reason for Kang Chang-ho's surprise was the unusual boldness of his interlocutor, which allowed him to treat the S-rank hunter with disdain. This indifference was a pleasant discovery for a man who had been accustomed to excessive attention from others since childhood. Returning to the current situation, Kang Chang-ho assured the safety of the proposed plan, emphasizing the priority of the attacker's testimony and the need to explain the conflict as an attempt to calm down the heated Young Ha-sung. When asked about the consequences of refusing, Kang Chang-ho responded with laughter, threatening to drag Kim Gi-rai along with him if things went badly. Kang Chang-ho's inner thoughts revealed his true interest in Kim Gi-rai's hidden abilities, holding him back from simply solving the problem by eliminating both witnesses. Unexpectedly for Kang Chang-ho, Kim Gi-ryo calmly accepted the offer, agreeing to take the blame for trying to calm Young Ha-sung down. Kang Chang-ho was surprised not only by the easy agreement to the proposal, but also by the complete lack of fear on the hero's face in the face of obvious threats. Suddenly remembering Kim Gi-rai's words regarding the impossibility of entering the S-rank gate at the moment made Kang Chang-ho think of his past experiences. Analyzing all the strange behavior and reactions of Kim Gi-rai, Kang Chang-ho came to the conclusion that he probably belonged to the high-ranking awakened ones. Reflecting on his discovery, Kang Chang-ho came to the conclusion that Kim Gi-rai had intentionally reduced his magical power to the level of an insect, as if he had chained himself with invisible chains. But the true reason for such a drastic reduction in power remained a mystery. Understanding perfectly well the need to urgently leave the dungeon, Kang Chang-ho decided to put off his thoughts about Kim Gi-rai's oddities for later, agreeing with his version of events and offering to immediately leave the dangerous place. Outwardly maintaining absolute calm, The hero internally felt incredible relief from the realization that he had managed not only to survive in this deadly dungeon, but also to safely get out of it. The bright light of the outside world blinded the hero when he finally made it outside, where he was instantly surrounded by a noisy crowd of excited journalists, eager to get information about what happened inside the gate. Deafening cheers and continuous camera flashes accompanied the appearance of Kim Giryo, who was immediately bombarded with questions about the number of surviving hunters and the level of danger of the monsters encountered inside, joyfully greeting him as a hero. Confused by the mention of some third gate, the hero turned around and was surprised to find that behind him was not one, but many mysterious portals, some of which also had other exhausted hunters emerging from them. The appearance of Kang Chang-ho carrying the unconscious Young Ha-sung in his arms brought forth a new wave of greetings from the journalists, but they were clearly worried and embarrassed by the state of the national hero, who had lost consciousness. The representative of the hunting association immediately approached Kang Chang-ho, showing particular interest in the circumstances under which the national hero found himself in such a helpless state. Despite the many questions that had accumulated, the association employee focused her attention on the condition of Young Ha-sun, considering it the most priority issue in the current situation. Using skillful manipulation, Kang Chang-ho calmly explained to the woman that the reason Young Ha-sung lost consciousness was because of a conflict over who would be the victim, and then pointed to Kim Gi-rai as the person who was forced to knock out the national hero to resolve the dispute. The representative of the association took this explanation with obvious distrust, considering it absolutely impossible for an unknown hunter to win over a recognized S-rank fighter with a reputation as an invincible warrior. Internally rejoicing at the association employee's common sense, the hero watched as she tried to force Kang Chang-ho to admit his involvement in what happened and finally tell the truth about the incident. Kang Chang-ho's menacing look towards the hero served as an eloquent reminder of their agreement, making Kim Gi-rai realize the need to immediately intervene in the conversation. Addressing the representative of the association, the hero with feigned calmness confirmed his involvement in the incident, admitting that it was he who knocked out Young Ha-sung during the brewing conflict inside the gate. Continuing his explanation, Kim Gi-rai emphasized the lack of malicious intent in his actions, explaining them as necessary to successfully clear the dungeon, and expressed his firm intention to personally apologize to Young Ha-sung after his awakening. Despite Kim Giri's confession, the association employee continued to doubt the possibility of such an outcome, realizing that without possessing S-rank strength, it was practically impossible to inflict such damage on a national hero. Aware of the woman's distrust of what was happening, Kang Chang-ho masterfully played out a scene of extreme exhaustion, demonstrating signs of extreme weakness, and assuring her of his complete inability to take any active action at that moment. Watching Kang Chang-ho's superb acting, the hero was well aware of the falseness of his performance, knowing that the blood loss, although significant, was not enough to account for such a degree of physical exhaustion. The journalists, who immediately picked up and believed the announced version of events, surrounded the hero with redoubled enthusiasm, trying to find out the details of how an ordinary hunter managed to defeat the legendary S-rank fighter. Finding himself in a hopeless situation under the close attention of the press, the hero was forced to confirm his involvement in the incident, explaining his actions by the need to protect the team and successfully complete the mission. Young Ha-sung's awakening was accompanied by his deep shock upon reading the news headlines that described the betrayal by Kim Gi-ryo, the man he had been so diligently protecting from danger all this time. A few days later, during a meeting with Kim Gi-rai, the curious Yoon Seong-ah couldn't help but ask how the hero managed to defeat the legendary Young Ha-sung. Finding himself in an awkward situation and realizing the true reason for the invitation to dinner, the hero evasively confirmed what had happened, after which he quickly turned the conversation to concerns about the well-being of Yoon Seong-ah himself on the day of the incident. Touched by Kim Gi-rai's sincere concern, Yoon Seong-ah spoke with enthusiasm about how the hero's timely intervention saved him from falling into a dangerous gate, expressing his sincere gratitude for the care shown. The sudden call from an unknown number turned out to be an expected contact from Young Ha-sun, which did not surprise the hero, who left his contact information in the association specifically with the purpose of making a personal apology to the injured national hero. After apologizing to Yoon Seong-ah for having to temporarily interrupt their meeting, the hero stepped aside, mentally choosing the most appropriate words for an apology and thinking about the advisability of turning on the video link to demonstrate maximum respect. Young Ha-sung's intentions turned out to be different. The national hero sought to clarify the true circumstances of that day, trying to understand whether Kim Gi-rae was really the cause of his loss of consciousness, given the blurry memories of the events before and after the incident. Young Ha-sung's inner suspicions regarding Kang Chang-ho's involvement in the incident have now been replaced by uncertainty, which is what prompted him to make direct contact with the alleged culprit. Analyzing Young Ha-sung's explanations, the hero realized a critical detail. At the moment of losing consciousness, the gaze of the falling national hero was fixed on him, which significantly complicated the situation. The situation that had developed was causing serious concern to the hero. Even a high-ranking national hero was disoriented by what had happened, and the constantly multiplying absurd news in the media only worsened the situation. Reflecting on the current situation, the hero realized that revealing the truth about Kang Chang-ho's actions could clarify the situation, but the likelihood that Young Ha-sung would believe such an explanation was close to zero. Newly revealed information about the reasons for Chung Ha-sung's designation as a national hero has revealed an interesting detail. His recognition was not based on a desire for justice, but on an impressive number of gates he closed on his own. Given Young Ha-sung's workaholic nature, who was completely focused on clearing the gate, the hero understood the futility of trying to convince him of Kang Chang-ho's guilt, especially given the national hero's inability to defeat this dangerous opponent. Seeing no other way out of the situation, the hero offered a sincere apology to Young Ha-sung, explaining his actions as concern for the national hero's excessive stress and emphasizing his willingness to sacrifice his own blood during his unconscious state. As additional compensation for the damage caused, the hero offered Young Ha-sung a valuable magical item received after successfully passing the mysterious gate. The display of complete indifference to the proposed compensation was accompanied by a furious rebuke from the hunter, who emphasized the possibility of a peaceful resolution to the conflict through ordinary conversation, and categorically rejected the idea of atonement for guilt with only one magical item. Young Ha-sung's indignation was fueled by his belief that the true purpose of the attack was to sacrifice him in order to receive the reward from the gate. The national hero's suspicions were further heightened by Kang Chang-ho's acquaintance with Kim Gi-rae, suggesting a possible conspiracy between the two, and also casting doubt on the veracity of the latter's claimed F-rank. The hero's next attempt to apologize and explain himself only increased Young Ha-sung's anger, who abruptly interrupted the conversation, promising to establish close surveillance of every action of the suspicious Kim Gi-rae. Turning his attention to his assistant, who had by this time completed collecting all the information of interest, Young Ha-sung immediately immersed himself in studying the provided printouts, articles, and numerous comments. Analysis of the collected materials showed that despite the guild's best efforts to remove incriminating data, information about his defeat had already spread among the public, creating dangerous doubts about the invulnerability of S-rank hunters. The assistant's thorough investigation, which examined all available data about Kim Gi-rae's past, confirmed his official registration as an F-rank hunter, which led her to assume that Kang Chang-ho was clearly responsible for the incident. Sharing his thoughts, Young Ha-sung admitted that he initially also suspected Kang Chang-ho, but the inconsistencies in the story made him doubt. In such a situation, Kang Chang-ho would definitely not have left the witness alive. Logic told the national hero that it would be pointless for Kang Chang-ho to complicate the situation by shifting the blame onto an F-rank hunter, when even after being acquitted, he could easily eliminate the unwanted witness. The main argument in favor of Young Ha-sung's suspicions was Kim Gi-rae's cold, disdainful gaze at the moment of his fall. Such a display of superiority and indifference, unseen since the awakening, strengthened his confidence in the falsification of the mysterious hunter's rank. Determined to understand the situation, Young Ha-sung made the decision to immediately contact the association to initiate the procedure of re-evaluating Hunter Kim Gi-rae's awakening level. The basis for such a requirement was the obvious discrepancy between the officially registered supernatural skills of the awakened one and his actual capabilities. The fundamental principle of awakening guaranteed the acquisition of at least one skill, but the magic system of this planet exhibited many limitations, which Kim Gi-rae himself repeatedly mentioned. Statistics showed that only 1.3% of those awakened had the ability to use magic, and even a powerful fire mage like Young Ha-sung could not master ice magic without acquiring an expensive skill stone. The uniqueness of Kim Gi-rae's case was his nature as a reincarnated soul who had learned all aspects of magic, which theoretically gave him the ability to use any kind of earthly magic, provided certain conditions were met. The current inability to display his unique talent, compounded by unwanted attention to his rank, led the hero to conduct extensive research, which led him to discover the possibility of using a magic power amplifier. The damage to the lungs greatly limited the ability to maintain normal energy circulation, but the remaining breathing allowed the use of a small amount of internal energy, making the use of a magic power amplifier a necessary solution to the problem. The only serious obstacle to obtaining the necessary objects was the fact that the gate containing them was completely under the control of an influential guild in the Korean Magic Tower. The hero's next visit to the walls of the guild was met with the usual reminder from the duty officer about the impossibility of entry without prior registration, accompanied by an insistent request to clear the passage. The hero's calm statement about having a preliminary appointment only caused a mocking reaction from the guard, who reminded him of the recent incident and emphasized the categorical ban on entry for F-rank carriers. The open disregard for F-rank holders, who were not even considered human, shocked the hero, but the situation was saved by the timely appearance of Yoon Seung-ah. Yoon Seung-ah's apology for being late was accompanied by an explanation about an unexpectedly long conversation at the company, to which he was urgently called before the meeting. Showing understanding, the hero calmed down the worried Yoon Seung-ah, reminding him that it was he who asked for help, and despite the debt already paid, Yoon Seung-ah continues to support him. The appearance of Yoon Seung-ah caused a noticeable stir in the guard, who noted with admiration his success in raids and prompt response to breakthroughs, showing genuine interest in the purpose of his visit to the guild. With his usual calm, Yoon Seung-ah explained that he had made a prior arrangement to meet with the representative of the Magic Tower, confirming the legitimacy of their visit. Despite the guard's initial objections about the head's absence from the headquarters, Yoon Seung-ah confidently showed confirmation of the meeting on his phone, mentioning the head's planned arrival later. Reluctantly letting the visitors in, the security guard apologized to Kim Gi-rae for his previous refusal, citing strict security policies regarding F-ranks, while noticeably changing his manner of speaking after Yoon Seung-ah's appearance. Having achieved his goal of entering the Korean Magic Tower, a large guild with many employees and significant income from hunter activities, the hero focused on the upcoming meeting with the leader of the organization. Yoon Seung-ah took the initiative, introducing himself to the girl at the registration as an A-rank fighter of the guild, Neo Brotherhood, and confirming the existence of a preliminary agreement with the leader via email. The receptionist promptly issued access cards, informing them that the head was waiting for them in his office on the 60th floor, where both visitors had been invited. Making their way through the spacious corridors of the building, they reached the elevator and pressed the button for the 60th floor, beginning their journey to their appointed meeting. At the same time, on the top floor, a red-haired woman was awaiting the arrival of unusual visitors with undisguised interest. The unexpected stop of the elevator on the second floor instead of the requested 60th floor made the hero realize that some kind of misunderstanding had occurred. Yoon Seung-ah was quick to apologize for leaving out important information about the need to undergo certain tests before meeting with the tower's management. The widespread rumors about the peculiar character of the guild leader were confirmed. Her well-known habit of arranging preliminary tests and sending visitors into the labyrinth significantly complicated the possibility of a personal meeting. The internal structure of the building turned out to be a complex labyrinth, through which visitors had to independently find their way up, demonstrating their abilities and resourcefulness. Having analyzed the situation, the hero quickly understood the principle of selecting visitors. Only those who demonstrated the ability to successfully pass all the prepared tests were awarded the meeting. An attempt to use the stairs led to an unexpected result. Having climbed from the second to the third floor, they found themselves in an underground parking lot, which caused both of them to involuntarily smile at the absurdity of the situation. Realizing that each door was a special gate that moved them through the labyrinth, the hero suggested returning to the second floor and trying to find information about previous successful completions of the test. The hero's growing bewilderment at the strangeness of the situation was intensified by Yoon Seung-ah's assumption that information about the correct route was only available to a very limited circle of office employees. Seeing no obvious solution, Yoon Seung-ah expressed concerns about the possible need to use expensive items to successfully pass the test. The hero was particularly outraged by the very idea of subjecting visitors to such abuse, considering it a manifestation of the head's inappropriate hobby, even despite the voluntary nature of their visit. However, professionally assessing the design of the labyrinth, the hero could not help but acknowledge its technical perfection, experiencing a growing interest in the personality of the creator of such a complex magical structure. Carefully studying the surroundings, the hero noted that the atmosphere of the magical labyrinth strangely reminded him of the furnishings of his own home. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, a worried Yoon Seung-ah suggested that they split up to find the exit faster, fearing that they would lose too much time. While calming his worried companion, the hero confidently declared his ability to cope with the task, despite the loss of most of his magical abilities, demonstrating extraordinary confidence in his own strength. Touching the door, the hero began a thorough analysis of its magical structure, which, although it seemed simple enough by his personal standards, was an incredibly complex creation by the standards of this world. The quick discovery of the correct path and the way up amazed Yun Seong-ah so much that he could not understand how his companion managed to solve the difficult puzzle of the labyrinth with such ease. In executing his plan, the hero asked Yun Seong-ah to arrange for the empty elevator to be sent to another floor, in order to free up the necessary space behind the door for the next stage of their advance. Based on his knowledge of the design of elevator systems, which consist of a vertical shaft with a moving cabin, the hero was confident in the feasibility of his plan. Following the planned procedure, the hero called the elevator, quickly pressed the necessary button, and stepped back, ensuring that the empty cabin was sent up without passengers. After waiting for the elevator to depart, the hero suddenly struck the elevator door, causing serious concern to Yun Seong-ah, who was afraid of the consequences of such obvious vandalism. Calmly demonstrating the discovered passage, the hero explained the need for a jump due to the connection of the floor with the upper-level gate, after which he made the jump first, confirming the safety of his plan. The space began to transform during the jump, safely transporting the two to the top floor, although Yun Seong-ah admitted that this jump seemed much scarier to him than the usual jumps from high hills in the gate. The successful completion of the test was marked by the voice of the guild leader, who expressed sincere admiration for their ability to overcome the labyrinth faster than all previous visitors. The head was particularly impressed by their discovery of a hidden escape route, the existence of which usually went unnoticed by most visitors. Showing respect for their achievement, Esther from the Magic Tower announced that they would now have to meet her as the next stage of the test. Showing genuine interest in the abilities of those who had come, she asked to introduce her companion, Yun Seong-ah, noting his outstanding analytical abilities, without which reaching this level would have been impossible. The mention of the recent increase in the labyrinth's difficulty made their success even more impressive in the eyes of the guild leader, who did not hide her surprise at the ease of their passage. Observing the sorceress, the hero unmistakably identified her as the creator of the labyrinth, noting the uniqueness of her character, which manifested itself in all aspects of the organization of the test. During the introduction, Estera smiled and noted her sympathy for capable people, emphasizing the special bond between hunters with rare attributes and looking forward to a productive collaboration. The hero's confusion regarding the mention of rare attributes was dispelled by Esther's explanation of the extreme rarity of awakened ones with the analysis skill, making it especially valuable. Adding to the information, Yun Seong-ah explained the unique position of the head of the Magic Tower as one of the few awakened ones in the entire world who possesses the rarest attribute of curses. Recalling the information gathered during his research, the hero realized the peculiarity of Esther's methods, using complex status anomalies to hunt monsters, which was a rarity in the world of novice mages. Unlike most awakened like Kang Chang-ho or Jung Ha-sung, who preferred to use powerful but simple magic, Estera's methods were particularly complex and sophisticated. In the world of hunters, specialists in defensive and restorative magic like Yun Seong-ah were especially prized, as they were much rarer than other practitioners, and possessed unique abilities that were essential for the survival of groups. The owners of curses and complex mental spells capable of influencing the mind of an opponent were considered truly unique. So each such specialist was known in professional circles and was under the close attention of large guilds. Feeling awkward about his own ignorance of popular hunters and their achievements, the protagonist hastened to explain his inattention to the news by being too busy at work and offered a sincere apology. Esther took the hero's explanation with a good-natured smile, laughing at his excessive immersion in work, which led to him not even noticing her frequent appearances on live broadcasts and news reports. Esther's professional interest in Kim Gi-rai's potential as a talented analyst gave way to a business-like approach when she decided to ask Yun Seong-ah about the reason for going to the Magic Tower, after learning that it was Kim Gi-rai who initiated the meeting. Yun Seong-ah's involvement in arranging the meeting was simply due to the need to find an influential intermediary, as the staff of the Magic Tower would hardly pay attention to the requests of a low-ranking hunter without serious support. The display of Kim Gi-rai's hunting card did not surprise the woman much, since for analysts, a low rank was considered quite common, although even among them, an F-rank seemed to be an exceptionally weak indicator. The woman's neutral reaction to the F-rank hunter successfully completing the labyrinth surprised the hero, but she was more concerned about the possibility of resource distribution issues if access to the gate was granted. The woman's concern about the distribution of materials from the gate turned out to be in vain, as the hero confidently declared his lack of interest in resource extraction, which caused genuine surprise to So Esther, who had expected standard requirements. Despite the hero's unusual statement, granting entry permission remained problematic due to the analyst's affiliation with another guild, and the presence of Yoon Seung-ah indicated a possible connection with the Neo Brotherhood. Maintaining a monopoly on access to the gates required significant costs, so the woman openly expressed her reluctance to contribute to the enrichment of competing guilds at the expense of the results of her organization's long-term work. When considering granting access to the gate, So Esthera would prefer to negotiate directly with representatives of the Kim Giri Guild, avoiding personal interaction with a low-ranking hunter. The woman's desire to communicate exclusively with high-ranking representatives of the guilds met with the firm position of So Esther, who emphasized the absence of favoritism and unwillingness to participate in trades, advising her to take care of her reputation. The zealous defense of the D-level gate surprised the hero, who understood perfectly well that the woman did not even suspect half of the truly valuable resources hidden in the depths of this mysterious place. The situation became clear after an excited Yoon Seung-ah explained the hero's unique status as an independent hunter who has never been a member of any guild and prefers to act alone. The hero's admission of having no real experience in analytical work and mentioning Yoon Seung-ah as his only acquaintance in the hunter community confirmed his independence and the absence of a threat of enrichment from competing guilds. An additional argument in favor of the hero's serious intentions was his clear statement about his willingness to pay for access to the gates, which indicated a businesslike approach to resolving the issue. A sudden change in the woman's expression, accompanied by the appearance of a sly smile, preceded her request to Kim Gi-rai to temporarily stop explaining, after which she rose from her seat with a triumphant laugh. The hero was perplexed by the woman's unexpected reaction, especially considering the fact that the most important detail of the proposed deal was not even mentioned in the conversation. The presence of an independent hunter with analytical skills inspired the woman so much that she immediately invited Kim Giri to join the Magic Tower, guaranteeing not just one-time access, but permanent use of the gate. The temptation of the offer was confirmed by Yoon Seung-ah's comment about the generosity of large guilds in providing analysts with magic stones and equipment, constantly competing to attract talented specialists. A sudden insight helped the hero understand the reason for the increased interest in analysts, since ordinary people are not able to determine the purity of magical stones visually, which created a constant need for qualified appraisers. The impressive offer of 500 million won caused Kim Gi-rai to show an unusual reaction of calm surprise, expressed by simply asking again about the stated amount with a slight excitement in his voice. The neutral expression on the hero's face made the woman think that the amount offered was insufficient, causing her to feel sad at the thought of more generous offers from the Neo Brotherhood, which had already attracted the great Yoon Seung-ah. The hero's mental calculations focused on the unexpectedly prosaic task of determining the number of portions of soup that could be purchased for the impressive sum of money offered. Continuing the bargaining, the woman emphasized the presence of experienced appraisers in the Magic Tower, promising a moderate workload, while the hero persistently tried to make sure of the reality of the proposed amount. Confirmation of the payment amount caused the hero to have excited thoughts about the prospect of a quiet office job sorting items, which promised a stable high income without the need to risk his life. An unexpected discovery for the hero was the mention of a 4-day work schedule, which So Esther considered an extremely attractive employment condition. The hero's negative reaction to the prospect of returning to a permanent job was explained by his principled position, since the meaning of the transformation was precisely the desire for a long-awaited resignation. Memories of the unpleasant aspects of office life, including early rising, overtime, formal communication with superiors, and endless complaining, strengthened the hero's determination to give up stable employment. The presented contract with an impressive amount of remuneration left a strong impression on Yoon Seung-ah, which prompted So Esther to extend the cooperation offer to him as well in case of a change in plans. The hero's categorical refusal was accompanied by an explanation emphasizing the absence of complaints about the working conditions or the amount of payment, indicating a fundamental unwillingness to bind himself to obligations to the guild. So Esther's disappointment was expressed in a reminder that he had to pay for access to the gate himself, accompanied by doubts about the hero's ability to find the required significant amount of money. The hero's calm answer contained information about the presence of a special material that, when added to the concrete of the outer walls of buildings, could provide a certain degree of resistance to magical attacks from monsters. The unique property of the material was its ability to absorb mana, which offered an effective solution to the problem of the high costs of maintaining a protective barrier around a large building of a magic tower. The hero's conviction that the material offered was sufficient to gain access to the gate was based on an understanding of its real value for the magic tower. The woman's interest in the proposal was accompanied by reasonable caution, expressed in the need to verify the authenticity of the declared properties of the material. The demonstration of a small bag of material was accompanied by the hero's offer to share information about the location of the source, emphasizing the exclusivity of his knowledge of this valuable resource. A sudden epiphany came to Yoon Seung-ah when he recognized the material the hero used in the battle with the bats, realizing its ability to absorb mana through personal observation. The hero regretted the premature disclosure of his trump card, but the understanding of the inevitability of the discovery of the material's properties by other researchers of the gate prompted him to take advantage of the opportunity to profitably sell the find. So Esther's doubts about the sand's effectiveness were combined with curiosity about the motives of a hero willing to exchange such valuable information for simple access to the gate with no intention of sharing it with other guilds. The hero's awareness of the limitations of the woman's knowledge of the true nature of the gate did not prevent him from providing firm guarantees of non-cooperation with competing guilds. The economic irrationality of the proposed deal caused sincere misunderstanding in So Esther, who realized the obvious financial disadvantage of such an exchange for the hero. Acknowledging the validity of the woman's comments about the financial side of the issue, the hero emphasized the absence of additional requirements, suggesting that the deal be viewed as an expression of professional solidarity between those with similar attributes. The onset of late evening was marked by the departure of the guests and the appearance of an assistant with coffee for the lady, who expressed concern about the unusual condition of So Esther. A mysterious smile accompanied So Esther's explanation of the little joke she had prepared for the recent visitors to the magic tower. The alarmed assistant, recognizing the departing guests, hastened to remind the lady of her promise to stop the practice of casting curses on visitors to the tower. So Esther's carefree laughter was accompanied by an explanation of the harmlessness of the curse used, which caused continuous sneezing for 30 seconds. The childish nature of leprosy caused the assistant bewilderment, intensified by the memory of the absence of signs of sneezing in the guests passing by. So Esther's thoughtfulness was explained by the unexpected result of her magical influence, because the activated sneezing curse should have immediately shown its effect on the young hunter. The man's unexpected reaction, expressed in a piercing, angry look directed straight into So Esther's eyes, indicated his awareness of the attempted magical influence. So Esther's professional curiosity was sparked by the unprecedented failure of her curse, which consistently worked even on S-rank hunters, causing her to wonder about the origins of the mysterious visitor. Confirmation of the effectiveness of the material provided by the hunter came with the results of laboratory tests brought by an assistant who entered the room, who noted the obvious absorption properties of the sample. The assistant's genuine bewilderment at the generosity of the stranger, who had so readily shared such valuable material, led him to assume that he wanted to make a favorable impression on his superiors. So Esther's professional intuition, which picked up on the extremely alarming signals from Kim Giri, prompted her to give orders to collect all available information about this mysterious man. Kim Giri's sudden illness, which manifested itself around the corner of the building while trying to clear his stomach, caused genuine concern to his companion, Yoon Seung-ah. The reason for such a violent reaction of the body turned out to be the coffee drink served to the guests, which the hero, assuming its high cost, consumed with due respect. The disgusting smell of the drink, reminiscent of industrial glue from Alphoria, caused the hero to feel a strong sense of disgust, causing confusion regarding the possibility of serving such a drink to guests. So Esther's attentive, scrutinizing gaze forced the hero to restrain his natural reflex and swallow the disgusting drink, so as not to reveal his true nature. The peculiarities of Kim Giri's body control, which is under the control of the alien's magic, explain the reason for the hero's angry reaction to coffee, and not to the attempt to cast a curse. The unique structure of the alien's magical control over the body required a superior level of magical mastery to overcome it, making any attempts to influence it through psychedelics or hypnosis ineffective. The magical protection provided by the Alphorian's control also extended to the S-rank huntress's curses, so the attempted intervention went completely unnoticed by the hero. Recuperating with the help of water from the machine was accompanied by curious questions from Yoon Seung-ah regarding the mysterious material given to So Esther. The unique properties of sand, which can not only extinguish flames but also strengthen building structures, aroused the sincere interest of Yoon Seung-ah, who received a simple explanation about the recent discovery of the material. Yoon Seung-ah's attempts to reason with his interlocutor were based on his understanding of the enormous value of the material and the obvious irrationality of handing it over to an unregistered guild just for the sake of access to the gate. The explanation of the hero's true motives included refuting the assumptions about his unwillingness to cooperate with the Magic Tower, emphasizing the sole purpose of making a favorable impression on So Esther. Yoon Seung-ah's assumption about romantic interest in the woman was calmly refuted by the hero, who emphasized his complete lack of emotional attachment to So Esther. The hero's obvious determination to gain access to the gate aroused Yoon Seung-ah's genuine curiosity about the hidden agenda behind his persistent actions. Waking up the next day was accompanied by severe pain throughout the body, but the joy of successfully drying the extracted materials compensated for the physical discomfort. The success of yesterday's hunt in the dungeon that was accessed, thanks to the agreement with So Esther, was largely due to the effective support of the A-rank hunter. The achievement of the expedition's main goal, obtaining the wings of a monster fairy, necessary for creating a mana amplifier, went without significant difficulties. The hero's initial fears turned out to be in vain, thanks to effective cooperation with Yoon Seung-ah, which allowed him to collect the required amount of material according to the planned plan. The relative availability of the remaining necessary ingredients made the further implementation of the plan much easier, compared to the difficulty of obtaining the wings of the monster fairy. The approach to the cherished goal of restoring magical power was accompanied by thoughts about the coming end of human domination on the planet. Current heroic plans gave way to the urgent need to replenish calories, but the movement to the refrigerator was interrupted by an unexpected knock on the door. The lack of information about Kim Giryo's possible family ties or friendships has led to understandable confusion regarding the identity of the unexpected visitor. The appearance of people in dark glasses and business suits caused the hero's anxiety, associated with the possibility of meeting old acquaintances of the body's owner. Sun Wooyan's introduction and her request for time to chat made it clear that the visitors belonged to the hunting association. The unsatisfied need for food prompted the hero to request information about the reason for the visit, to which Sun Wooyan agreed on the condition of leaving the apartment. Formal apologies for the suddenness of the visit were accompanied by an explanation of the need to carry out certain tasks without prior notice. The contents of the received report on the illegal registration of an awakened included suspicions regarding the hero's manipulation of his rank. The need to retest the level of arousal was presented as a mandatory requirement, accompanied by a request for voluntary cooperation. The hero's reluctance to delay eating was met with Sun Wooyan's clear warning that force would be used if he refused to cooperate. The author's narrative goes back several weeks to explain the reasons for the sudden appearance of the black-haired girl in Kim Gi-rai's life. The key moment in the development of events was the meeting during which the guy told Sun Wooyan about his F-rank status. The discrepancy between the manner of communication and the standard behavior of F-rank representatives gave rise to initial suspicions about possible rank falsification. The investigation initiated by Sun Wooyan revealed the suspicious fact of the only visit to the gate in the suspect's entire history. The logical inconsistency between the lack of combat experience and surviving an encounter with a C-rank monster increased suspicions about the veracity of the stated rank. The potential danger of the situation lay in the unpredictability of the actions of a man hiding his true rank, especially when surrounded by weaker hunters. Sun Wooyan's limited authority to conduct an in-depth investigation initially resulted in only a report being filed with no further action possible. The unexpected development came several days after news reports emerged about the incident between Kim Gi-ryo and Jung Ha-sung. The seriousness of the situation increased significantly after national hero Chung Ha-sun filed an official statement, which led to a radical change in the circumstances of the case. Sun Wooyan's transformation from a regular civil servant to a key participant in the investigation was accompanied by growing confidence that the suspect was falsifying his rank. The suspect's modest living conditions, which were not in line with the standard living standards of even D-rank hunters, added new questions to the investigation. Speculation about the reasons for the modest lifestyle is divided between versions of an ascetic existence and the presence of hidden financial assets. The hero's practical interest in the cost of rechecking his rank appeared immediately after finishing changing clothes, which was perceived by Sun Wooyan as a manifestation of pettiness. The explanation of the financial conditions for the verification included information about the cost of 500,000 won, a fee waiver upon confirmation of rank, and additional penalties if manipulation is detected. Observing the process of checking other participants allowed the hero to appreciate the imperfection of the methods used to determine the level of awakening of a skill. The hero's confidence in the successful outcome of the test was based on his understanding of the current state of Kim Giryo's lungs and the obvious primitiveness of the research methods used. Sun Woo-yan's invitation to undergo testing on the latest rank-checking equipment marked the beginning of the hero's actual research into his abilities. The discovery of inaccuracies in the results of the old test, caused by pulmonary diseases, caused the hero's obvious dissatisfaction with the speed of identifying the problem and making appropriate adjustments to the testing procedure. The decisive actions of the guards, who responded to the hero's resistance, ended with his forced placement in a diagnostic apparatus after the careful removal of all metal objects. The presentation of the test results was accompanied by a warning from Sun Woo-yan about the possibility of being charged with rank falsification if the new awakening level's indicators significantly differed from the previous data. An unexpected improvement in diagnostic equipment has caused the hero to become seriously concerned about the possibility of discovering significant reserves of mana that had previously gone undetected. The difficulty of explaining the true origin of the high mana readings was compounded by the impossibility of revealing the truth about the extraterrestrial origin and the effect of smoking on Kim Giryo's body's abilities. Relief came after confirmation that the degree of awakening corresponded to the F-rank category, eliminating any suspicion of falsification of indicators. The slight increase of 2 points since the last check was within the acceptable range of fluctuations, which caused Song Woo-young to be genuinely distrustful. Kim Giryo's curiosity about the prospects for increasing the degree of awakening received a professional explanation about the level not changing after reaching a natural plateau. The realization of the actual F-rank body's conformity led to a revision of the initial assumption regarding the effect of damaged lungs on the ability to accept magical energy. A retrospective analysis of the situation with the Golem revealed the lack of reaction of the monster to the presence of the hero even in close proximity, which confirmed the low level of threat. The minimal amount of mana in the hero's body explained the Golem's complete disregard for his presence, not perceiving him as a potential threat. The painful realization of the failure of attempts to restore magical power was accompanied by the need to accept the reality of existence in the body of the weakest awakened person on the planet. The return home was accompanied by an internal struggle with the recognition of the possibility of mistakes, even among great magicians, finding solace in the timely revelation of the truth and the removal of suspicions. Sun Woo-yan's professional concern was expressed by her suggestion of additional examination to rule out possible side effects after checking the awakened ones. The polite refusal of further examination was accompanied by the first sign of depression that Sun Woo-yan noticed on the young man's usually indifferent face. Sun Woo-yan's professional abilities as a detective, based on her unique awakening technique, explained her knowledge of the hero's location. A specialized tracking skill allowed her to determine the location of people and objects in real time, making Sun Woo-yan's abilities especially valuable when investigating crimes. The woman's sudden interruption of her thoughts was accompanied by the heroes pointing to an unusual object located directly in front of them. The discovery of the body of a dead raccoon, hit by a car, elicited a sympathetic response from Sun Woo-yan, who tried to attribute such incidents to the carelessness of animals. The boy's unexpected actions, picking up and hugging the dead animal, were accompanied by confident statements about his intention to take care of the raccoon after returning home. The farewell was accompanied by the girl's sincere bewilderment regarding Kim Giryo's supposed intentions to bury the found animal. Golem creation technology on Alphara involved the use of 2 main categories of materials, the first of which included metals and hard rocks. The second category of materials for the creation of golems was based on the use of organic remains of living beings, which determined their specific characteristics. A chance discovery of a biological sample on the road provided the hero with the perfect opportunity to experiment with the amplifier after its completion. The unexpected discovery of positive character traits in the seemingly cold-blooded young man made a favorable impression on those around him, especially on Song Woo-yan. The first attempts to mix the ingredients at home were unsuccessful due to unsuitable humidity and the lack of specialized tools. An unexpected phone call late in the evening left the guy perplexed, as he did not expect such calls at such a late hour. The appearance of the notification caused annoyance to Kim Giryo, who realized that the decision to include the analysis skill in the work profile was a mistake. The numerous offers from scouts that followed the profile update irritated the tired hero, who did not want to take calls or answer messages. A check of my inbox revealed an advertisement for a special offer on Korean sweets at a nearby store. A sense of duty to the personal offer forced the hero, despite his fatigue, to go to the store, fearing to show impoliteness by ignoring the special invitation. The discovery of a parked black car with tinted windows did not arouse the suspicions of the hero, who remained unaware of the constant surveillance. A sudden attack by unknown assailants ended with the hero losing consciousness, although he managed to imprint the face of one of the attackers in his memory. A severe headache upon awakening highlighted the hero's vulnerability to physical attacks, as opposed to magical ones. Reflections on the length of his unconsciousness were accompanied by a growing sense of the planet's hostility and confusion about the motives for the attack. Overheard conversations about the targeted capture of an F-rank have raised interest in possible conflicts between the body's owner and the organizers of the abduction. The customer's satisfaction with the timely completion of the task was accompanied by a demand for additional confirmation of the identity of the captured person. The performer's explanations included information about the use of D-rank fighters, which turned out to be an excessive precaution against a weak enemy. The client's appearance was accompanied by a greeting ceremony and a demonstration of the product, and the familiar voice aroused vague suspicions in the hero. Kang Chang-ho's confusion was caused by the prisoner's state of mind, despite the latter's attempts to create the impression of helplessness in front of the high-ranking hunter. The demonstrative removal of the blindfold was accompanied by a joyful greeting and recognition of the naturalness of the guy's confusion in the current situation. The detailed explanation of the situation included mention of the rumors that had spread about the incredible achievement of an F-rank hunter who had managed to break through the labyrinth of the mage's tower. The vulnerability of low-ranking possessors of outstanding abilities to criminal elements determined their intention to sell the hero to interested buyers. The particular value of black market analysts was accompanied by Kim Girai's ignorance of the real value of contracts with such specialists. Explaining the long-term perspective of the abduction allowed the hero to realize that the kidnappers belonged to an organization specializing in the trade of awakened people. The advantage of working with low-ranking hunters was due to their increased susceptibility to spells, which greatly increased their value on the black market. The mention of the practice of using mind control spells on the organization's own employees clarified the reasons for the specific attitude towards such goods. The hero's naive question about possible help from Kang Chang-ho received a calm explanation of his role as a client in the current situation. The order to move the prisoner to the upper floors, given before leaving on business, caused the hero to deeply regret choosing this planet for reincarnation. The hero's placement in a closed room without a blindfold was explained by the kidnapper's confidence in the inevitable effect of the magical eye, which induces sleep. Finding himself in a closed room, the young man thought about his future fate and tried to understand the logic of the kidnappers, who were clearly in no hurry to sell him, as if waiting for the most opportune moment to make a deal. The sudden appearance of a sweet floral scent attracted the attention of the prisoner to an unusual lamp installed in the room, which emitted not only a pleasant light, but also spread a magical fragrance around itself. The prisoner quickly determined the true purpose of the mysterious artifact, which was capable of putting even the strongest B-rank warrior into a deep sleep with its aroma, acting as a powerful sleeping pill. The Archmage of Alfari had a unique ability to resist the magical effects of the lamp, so he immediately began to develop an escape plan, realizing that every minute of delay would reduce his chances of salvation. Using his knowledge of physical laws, the prisoner managed to free himself from the ropes through friction, knowing full well that even his immunity to magical control would not protect him from the prospect of being sold on the black market. After being released, the first thing the captive did was search his pockets for his phone, but predictably he did not find it there, since experienced kidnappers always thoroughly search their victims and take all personal belongings. Having assessed the limitations of his options in this situation, the young man decided to use the magic lamp he had found as the only available means to escape from this dangerous place. The guards on duty outside Kim Giri's cell suddenly felt a familiar sweet scent spreading through the air, and one by one they began to fall into an irresistible magical sleep. Watching the swift action of the magical artifact, the prisoner was amazed at its effectiveness, because the guards lost consciousness in less than 10 seconds, but there was no time to think because of the risk of detection. Luck smiled on the fugitive when he noticed a mobile phone that had fallen out of the pocket of one of the sleeping kidnappers, which could have been his only chance to contact law enforcement. Remembering the peculiarities of the Earth's emergency services system, the young man immediately dialed the universal number for calling for help, hoping to get the support of the local police in his rescue. Having failed to get through on the phone, the resourceful captive decided to send a text message to the police informing them of his abduction, but his attempt to make contact went unanswered. The fugitive made several attempts to find out when help would arrive, but soon realized the futility of his actions, since he was communicating with an automated system without any certainty that his message would be delivered. Realizing the unreliability of the original plan, the young man decided to use a backup plan and sent an urgent message to his friend named Yoon Seong-ah, counting on his help. Having sent his friend all the necessary information about his location, the fugitive armed himself with a magic lamp and began to carefully move through the building, ready to use the artifact for self-defense if necessary. The guards patrolling the corridors of the building during their routine rounds noticed an unusual phenomenon. The premises were gradually filling with a strange fog of unknown origin. The sudden appearance of an unfamiliar figure in the clouds of fog did not immediately alarm the guards, who mistook the fugitive for one of their employees who had recently changed his hair color. Dramatic events unfolded with lightning speed when the fugitive used the lamp as a throwing weapon, first stunning one guard, and then quickly neutralizing the second who tried to raise the alarm. Having successfully dealt with his opponents, the young man picked up his magic lamp and was surprised to note its double effectiveness. The artifact turned out to be not only a source of a soporific aroma, but also a reliable striking weapon. The next task for the fugitive was to find a way out, which turned out to be no easy task due to the carefully barricaded windows, which deprived him of the opportunity to quickly escape through them. Suddenly, the fugitive's attention was drawn to a powerful surge of energy, so strong that even the lowest-ranking mage could feel it, and this phenomenon unmistakably indicated the appearance of a magical gate. Analyzing the situation, the young man came to the conclusion that the source of this energy must be outside the building where he was imprisoned, which gave hope for finding a way out. Based on his knowledge of the typical locations of magical gates, which usually appeared in forests or open hunting areas, the fugitive decided to use their energy trace as a natural compass. When the rest of the gang realized their F-rank captive had escaped, the young man was forced to improvise and choose the stairs as the only available escape route. The intense physical exertion during the escape led to an aggravation of an old knee injury, which is why the fugitive began to experience serious difficulties in moving and controlling his injured leg. The pursuers caught up with the fugitive, but their belated realization that he had a magic lamp turned out to be a fatal mistake. The activated artifact instantly neutralized the weakest opponents with its soporific aroma. The fugitive encountered unexpected resistance from a stronger opponent, who managed to intercept the magic lamp and launch a direct attack on Kim Giryo, significantly complicating the situation. Having pinned the hero against the wall, the attacker made a threatening speech about how he usually tries to keep the goods in good condition, but today he is ready to make an exception to his rules. Having demonstrated extraordinary physical fitness and combat skills, the young man managed to free himself from his opponent's grip and deliver a powerful kick to the chin, demonstrating his superiority. Having successfully dealt with his pursuers, the hero discovered that the lamp's magical reserve was exhausted, and his injured leg significantly limited his mobility when surrounded by enemies, forcing him to look for a quick exit. The fugitive's sensitive perception detected an increase in the energy flow, which could indicate the proximity of the exit, from where the presence of the magical gates was especially clearly felt. Guided by his knowledge of the typical layout of earthly buildings, the young man assumed that the massive door ahead must lead to the exit from this dangerous labyrinth. The fugitive was surprised by the absence of a lock on an important door, but an even bigger surprise was the presence of an influential man with bodyguards and Kang Chang-ho himself behind it. The leader of the criminal group expressed obvious dissatisfaction with the inability of his subordinates to hold on to the valuable goods, which led to unforeseen complications in his plans. The fugitive was shocked to discover a magical gate inside the building and the presence of Kang Chang-ho. Realizing that his hopes of escaping through the outside exit had been dashed and the situation had become even more difficult. The group members present began to have growing doubts about the veracity of the information about the prisoner's abilities, observing his incredible effectiveness in confronting superior enemy forces. The young man realized with surprise that his opponents had never figured out the secret of his successful escape, not realizing the true role of the magical artifact in the events that had taken place. The opportunity to use bluff to escape by posing as an invincible warrior appeared, but the presence of Kang Chang-ho, who knew the truth about the fugitive's real abilities, made this plan risky. The situation took an unexpected turn when one of the leaders apologized to Kang Chang-ho for the problems that arose with the almost completed deal, showing respect for an important partner. An influential person approached Kang Chang-ho to ask for a favor and help in capturing the rebellious hunter in order to successfully complete the planned deal before midnight. The leader explained his preference for using the help of an S-rank professional instead of his own men by saying that such a level of skill would ensure the task would be completed quickly and reliably. Kim Gi-rai was amazed by the audacity of the leader, who without hesitation shifted the responsibility for the situation onto his important client, demonstrating amazing self-confidence. What came as a surprise to everyone was Kang Chang-ho's agreement to help in the current situation, based on his understanding of their common interests, and the impossibility of refusing such a request. The leader showed business acumen by offering Kang Chang-ho a lucrative deal to acquire Kim Gi-rai at a significant discount, knowing that he was looking for a qualified analyst for his organization. Seeing Kang Chang-ho's sly smile as he approached the prisoner, it was clear that his partner was willing to sell him for a minimal price, anticipating potential problems with this unusual product. Thinking hard about his situation, the hero tried to predict the time of the police's arrival, and wondered if Yoon Sung-ah had received his emergency message asking for help. Kang Chang-ho's sudden proposal of immediate escape through the clear path behind him, accompanied by a promise not to interfere, caught the young man off guard. Remarkably calm in the tense situation, the hero asked Kang Chang-ho an unexpected question about whether he had ever seen Kim Gi-rai run away from a confrontation. This moment was a revelation for Kang Chang-ho, who realized that neither during their first meeting nor during the dangerous incident with the extreme rank gate had the hero ever chosen the path of retreat. Recognizing the absurdity of his escape proposal, Kang Chang-ho mistakenly interpreted the hero's behavior as a desire to fight for freedom. But the hero calmly raised his hands, explaining his decision to surrender without a fight. Bewilderment was reflected on Kang Chang-ho's face, who could not understand the logic of the actions of the young man who had spent so much effort defeating the guards, only to voluntarily surrender to his opponents. The hero chose to remain silent about his true methods of confronting the guards, realizing that his opponents saw him as the same ruthless fighter, and admitted that after the escape attempt, it was really difficult to trust him. The unexpected appearance of a mysterious man from the supposed gate forced the hero to reconsider his assumptions. This was not an ordinary portal, but the result of a rare spatial movement skill. The leader of the group noted the impeccable punctuality of the guest who arrived exactly at midnight, to which he, with obvious self-satisfaction, noted the consistency of his habit of not being late for important meetings. The new arrival turned out to be the legendary carrier, the possessor of the rarest gift of moving people through space, whose presence inspired obvious respect even from such a seasoned fighter as Kang Chang-ho. The unexpected turn of events caught everyone off guard as Kang Chang-ho seized the opportunity to deliver a crushing blow to the carrier, slamming the back of his head into the concrete wall with great force. Explaining his actions to the stunned audience, Kang Chang-ho revealed that he had spent considerable resources tracking down this elusive awakened one whose abilities were causing serious problems. Kang Chang-ho explained that he was not interested in the group's normal trading activities, but the illegal transfer of people from his area of responsibility was a line he could not allow to be crossed. The realization of mortal danger forced the bodyguards to make a desperate attempt to save their boss, heading for the gate. But Kang Chang-ho's superior speed left them no chance of success. Watching the display of incredible power of a top-class fighter, the hero clearly understood that his own abilities were incomparable with the capabilities of this supernatural being. The history of the development of ranks among hunters came to mind, when the original classification system from F to A ceased to correspond to reality with the emergence of fighters of incredible strength. The need to classify super-powerful hunters led to the creation of a new rank S, which naturally took the highest position in the hierarchy of earthly fighters, becoming a symbol of absolute power. After dealing with the bodyguards, Kang Chang-ho methodically approached the leader of the group, completely ignoring his pleas for mercy, demonstrating absolute disdain for the requests of his opponent. The brutal massacre of the gang leader became a clear demonstration for the hero of how dangerous it is to enter into confrontation with such a powerful and ruthless enemy as Kang Chang-ho. The arrival of the police, previously called by Kim Gi-rai, led to an unexpected explanation from Kang Chang-ho, who revealed his true goal: to stop the illegal export of Korean hunters abroad. Despite Kim Gi-rai's insistence that he stay and give evidence to the police, Kang Chang-ho only laughed at the slowness of law enforcement, which took days to find such places. The mass migration of awakened people into new professional fields has created a serious shortage of personnel in ordinary positions, significantly affecting the work of many organizations, including law enforcement agencies. The unusually quick response of the police this time surprised Kang Chang-ho, who correctly guessed that Yoon Sung-ah was involved in organizing the rapid response to the incident. Curbing his curiosity about the story of Kim Gi-rai's rescue, Kang Chang-ho decided to put off asking questions for the future and left the scene, leaving the hero to deal with the arriving police. Anxious thoughts overwhelmed the hero, who realized the potential problems that could arise if he was found alone among many defeated opponents in the group's building. The hero's fears were justified when the police officers who burst in immediately tried to detain Kim Giryo, demanding information about the location of the kidnapped man, unaware that he was in front of them. Attempts to explain his role as a kidnapping victim fail to convince the police, who arrest him for violating the Awoken Use of Force Act, leaving him increasingly irritated by their lack of understanding. Sun Woo-yeon's saving appearance brought clarity to the situation when she demanded an explanation from the police regarding the reason for Kim Gi-ryo's detention, sharing his confusion about what was happening. Thanks to Sun Woo-yeon's intervention, who explained the circumstances of the case and the connection to the kidnapping report to the police, the hero's handcuffs were removed, and the situation was clarified thanks to timely contact with Yoon Seong-ah. It turns out that Yoon Seong-ah received a call for help while on a mission to eliminate a dungeon breach, and then recruited Sun Woo-yeon's tracking skills to help find the kidnapped item. The police investigation quickly established the identities of those arrested, identifying them as members of a criminal group specializing in international human trafficking. A recent spate of kidnappings of Korean hunters has been explained by the discovery of this site, which served as a focal point for the criminal organization's illegal dealings. The information about the group that Sun Woo-yeon had gathered was confirmed with the identification of the leader's body, foreshadowing the imminent collapse of the criminal organization that had lost its leader. When asked by the police about the person who neutralized the criminals, Kim Gi-rai honestly pointed to Kang Chang-ho's role in defeating the main forces of the group on the lower floors of the building. The discovery of numerous immobilized opponents on the upper floors forced the hero to admit his participation in neutralizing part of the criminal group during the escape attempt. Faced with the need to explain his actions, the hero chose the safest version, citing forced self-defense as the reason for using force against the kidnappers. Sun Woo-yeon expressed doubt about the veracity of this version, noting the discrepancy between the status of the kidnapping victim and the discovery of the untied hero alone in the office of the group boss. The lack of visible injuries and the unusual behavior of the alleged victim led Sun Woo-yeon to consider the possibility of a staged kidnapping, suspecting a more complex plan behind the events that had occurred. Returning home allowed the hero to carefully examine the magical object he had received as a trophy, the acquisition of which brought him sincere satisfaction from the operation he had carried out. The uniqueness of the artifact was confirmed by the inability of even police experts to fully determine its properties and establish its rightful owner, which significantly increased its value. The artifact's particular practical value was given by the ability to be recharged multiple times, making it a universal tool for various situations in the future. Despite the fact that Kang Chang-ho left him to deal with the consequences of the operation on his own, the hero considered the artifact he received as worthy compensation for all the difficulties he had endured. The only significant drawback of the acquired artifact was its inability to affect monsters, limiting the range of its application to influencing human targets only. Completion of the preparation of the special solution, accompanied by the boiling of the kettle, allowed the hero to evaluate the ideal color and consistency characteristics of the resulting liquid. The successful recreation of an analog of the potion from his home planet using local ingredients filled the hero with pride, confirming his outstanding abilities as a genius archmage even in primitive conditions. The created mana enhancement elixir was a unique means of temporarily increasing the base reserve of magical energy required to use spells. The practical significance of the created elixir was the possibility of temporary use of magic, serving as a kind of catalyst for activating magical abilities in new conditions. Consuming the potion opened a 5-minute window of opportunity to activate one spell, giving the hero a limited time to use his magical abilities. The first use of magic on Earth allowed the hero to heal long troubled injuries to his right knee and calf muscle, as well as stabilize the overall physical condition of the body. Successfully getting rid of the pain in his leg brought temporary relief, but the hero understood that this was only the beginning of a long process of recovery and improvement of his physical condition. The realization of the deplorable state of the resulting body came with the understanding that the entire supply of mana had been depleted by a single spell, demonstrating the extreme ineffectiveness of the current state. The limitations of his lungs prevented frequent use of the potion, but the hero accepted the need for a patient approach to development, enjoying even small progress. An unexpected knock on the door interrupted the hero's thoughts, and instead of the expected visit from Sun Woo-yeon, he found an elderly man on the threshold, changing the course of his evening. The body's memories helped to identify the visitor as the owner of the apartment, which allowed the hero to react correctly to his appearance, despite the lack of prior notice. The purpose of the landlord's visit quickly became clear. 3 months of arrears in rent and utility bills had reached a critical level, requiring an immediate solution to financial issues. The landlord explained the critical nature of the unpaid bills, setting a 1-month deadline to pay off the total debt of 1,350,000 won for 3 months of delay. In concluding the conversation, the owner of the apartment made it clear that failure to collect the required amount within the specified time frame would lead to the inevitable eviction of the young man. After closing the door after the landlord left, the hero realized the seriousness of his financial situation, with less than 3,000 won in his account and a real threat of ending up on the street. A quick analysis of the situation showed that in order to solve the financial problems in the remaining 14 days, it was necessary to find about 2 million won, taking into account the accumulated bills and rent. A sudden idea made the hero rush to the phone, hoping to find a solution to the current financial problem through modern means of communication. Despite internal resistance, the hero decided to use the backup option and contacted Kang Chang-ho, who immediately answered the incoming call. While at the restaurant, Kang Chang-ho expressed surprise at his interlocutor's sudden willingness to accept compensation for the car incident, especially after his previous categorical refusal. Assessing his actual needs, the hero decided to request an amount exceeding the required 2 million won for housing costs, given the recent events with the kidnapping. The announcement of the requested amount was accompanied by a noticeable uncertainty in the hero's voice, which caused surprise to the interlocutor. But Kang Chang-ho immediately carried out the requested transfer. The speed and ease of the transfer amazed the hero. Although he understood the relative insignificance of the sum, most of which would go to paying off debts. Thoughts about finding additional sources of income were interrupted by an unexpected phone call from Yoon Seung-ah, opening up new opportunities. While accepting a call with the intention of expressing gratitude for help with the police, the hero suddenly remembered the high earnings of hunters in the dungeons, which gave rise to a new idea. The subsequent meeting with Yoon Seung-ah was arranged under the pretext of expressing gratitude for the timely call to law enforcement during the incident. The friendly offer to treat him to a cup of coffee caused a hidden disgust in the hero, although he considered a full meal more appropriate for his benefactor. During a casual conversation, Yoon Seung-ah expressed sincere surprise at the fact that his interlocutor had been kidnapped and regret at the impossibility of personally participating in the rescue operation. The mention of the difficult situation with the dungeon breakthrough explained the lack of direct help from Yoon Seung-ah, who was forced to rely on Sun Woo-yeon's assistance to save his comrade. Using a strategic use of a light compliment, the hero steered the conversation in the right direction, asking about the other person's experience in various types of dungeons and raid operations. Yoon Seung-ah's eloquent silence in response to the question about the dungeons confirmed the hero's assumption about the lingering fear of the gates, providing important information. The hero's assumption was confirmed by the interlocutor's confession of a persistent fear of returning to the dungeons, which significantly limited his professional activities. The expected reaction of the interlocutor was explained by his traumatic experience, which included a confrontation with a dangerous monster, betrayal by comrades, and the proximity of mortal danger. The psychological trauma received at such a young age of 20 seemed to be a completely natural result of the dramatic events experienced. The hero outlined the limitations of his support capabilities as an F-rank hunter, emphasizing the need for Yoon Seung-ah to either rebuild the team or develop independently. The sudden panic reaction of the interlocutor to the suggestion of a cessation of support confirmed the correctness of the hero's strategy, who did not plan to abandon a promising ally. The hero's proposal to conduct training sessions on mana control and skill use presented the situation in a new light, opening up possibilities for further interaction. Yoon Seung-ah's enthusiasm for the proposed training pleased the hero, whose plan was successfully implemented, leading them to immediately visit the appropriate gate. The choice of a D-rank dungeon to begin training was in line with the hero's carefully thought-out plan, providing optimal conditions for training. The location's low popularity among hunters due to the rare drop of magic stones created ideal conditions for quiet training without outside observers. After assessing the characteristics of Yoon Seung-ah's awakening with a strong bias towards defense, the hero asked to demonstrate the main skill for a more detailed analysis of the possibilities. The demonstration of the magic shield showed the ability to create a protective barrier, the size of which was directly dependent on the amount of mana invested, presenting interesting possibilities for development. The revealed limitation of the shield only protecting the front of the owner turned out to be the basic principle of the skill's operation, laid down since the awakening of the abilities. Observing the primitive use of a potentially powerful skill evoked in the hero associations with the inept actions of a primate, making it difficult to choose a starting point for training. The hero explained to the student the fundamental error in understanding the skill, emphasizing the possibility of creating a comprehensive defense instead of a limited frontal barrier. The concept of the protective dome was presented as an optimal development of the skill, providing the user with a complete magical barrier. The first attempt at creating a protective dome resulted in only a slight increase in the size of the shield, demonstrating a lack of understanding of the mechanics of barrier shape transformation. Annoyed by the student's slowness, the hero suggested concentrating the skill's center below the neck and imagining the mana spreading in the form of a crystal ball. Noticing difficulties in understanding the instructions, the hero suggested stopping verbal explanations and focusing on the practical implementation of the exercise. The 20-minute training session, challenging for both participants, ended with an impressive result, demonstrating the effectiveness of the chosen training method. The achievement of creating the dome was marred by its instability when moving, but the hero supported the student, emphasizing the significance of the progress and the need for further practice. The positive dynamics in mastering the skill inspired optimism regarding the prospects of eliminating blind spots and achieving full control over the protective barrier. Yoon Seung-ah's sincere gratitude was accompanied by the recognition of the discovery of new possibilities for using the skill that surpassed his previous understanding. The hero's explanation emphasized the importance of mental state in controlling mana, linking the development of magical abilities with maintaining a high self-esteem of the practitioner. The transition to practical training was justified by the need to apply new skills in real combat conditions to achieve true mastery. The encounter with monsters in the dungeon provided an opportunity to practice defensive skills in a real battle. The stable holding of the barrier against strong attacks demonstrated the expected potential for a rank A hunter, pleasing the mentor with obvious progress. While the student fought the monsters, the hero focused on collecting valuable crystals that dropped from the defeated golems, following his own plan. Knowing the high market value of magic stones motivated the hero to use the training process to make a profit, skillfully guiding the actions of an A-rank hunter. The strategy of getting free loot during training seemed like the ideal solution to the hero's financial problems, providing a monthly income without having to personally participate in battles. The cautious approach to exploiting Yoon Seung-ah's abilities was explained by the desire to avoid direct requests for hunting, which could negatively affect their relationship. Maximizing profit required a delicate balance that would prevent the mentor's true intentions from being revealed to the student. Yoon Seung-ah's unusual reaction after the battle has left the hero worried, fearing that his scheme for earning extra income will be exposed.